You're listening to Sweep the League.
Hey, this is George Iceman Gervin, and you're listening to Sweep the League Radio.
2024 NBA Draft is here. We're going to get this started. We're kicking it off. It's going to be myself, Project Spurs' own college basketball guru, great fan of the show as well. Ben Bornstein's going to be with us. Coach Gio's joining with us here. Derek Gervin as well. The whole crew tonight, we're going to be with you for the entirety of the first round of the NBA Draft. We're going to give you our takes. We're going to give you our analysts. We're going to just provide as much coverage as we can for all of you guys here. Appreciate everybody joining you on the live stream with us. Again, drop your comments, your questions, your takes, everything that you want to drop them in the comments. Be a subscriber to our YouTube page at Sweep the League TV. Subscribe because we're giving away some prizes tonight, but you've got to be a subscriber to YouTube. So definitely subscribe to that. Again, we are powered by MCS General Contracting, the absolute best in the business. If you need a patio, extend the porch, you need a driveway, pool, or just a foundation poured, contact MCS General Contracting and La Cocina Taco Truck in New Braunfels, a short drive away to keep you satisfied. Hit them up. I'm going to be out there this weekend. Maybe we can meet up there and visit Louis and his staff at La Cocina Taco Truck. But it is draft night. It's an exciting night. Let's bring on the crew here. First and foremost, we've got Derek Gervin coming on here. Coach Gio, and Ben Bornstein. One second here. Let me let Derek know. But Ben, being that this is a 2024 draft, it's an uncertainty draft. How are you seeing that the first couple of picks going? Because we've been seeing Reece Arcier being rumored going to Atlanta right now. That kind of messes up just a little bit in the top three, if we're not mistaken here.
Sort of. I would say Reece Arcier has probably been the top target or the top predicted guy for the Hawks for a while now. Part of that is Alex Sarr took one workout and he took it with the Wizards and said, not interested in anyone else. Mm-hmm. So the Hawks aren't going to take a chance on a guy who's not even going to work out with them. So, I mean, Alex Sarr, I'm pretty sure it's a lock that Alex Sarr is going number 2. And so for the Hawks, it becomes, what is your preference of player that you want at the top? Or do you want a Zachary Reece, who's 6'8", 6'9", wing guy, bit of a shooter, good defender? Do you want a Donovan Clingan who's 7'2", huge, will protect your rim? I think they're probably going to go with the shorter, more athletic guy for now.
Yeah, Reece Arcier does make a great sense for the Atlanta Hawks because let's be real, they're shopping one of the guys, and we kind of got a word today that Trae Young's not going to bring back as big of a package as a DeJounte Murray will. So more than likely, we're going to see DeJounte being moved and Trae Young actually being a Hawk primarily, I'm thinking, for a little while longer. So it kind of makes sense that we're going to see Zachary Reece Arcier probably end up going number 1, which leaves number 2, Gio. Alex Sarr, again, the one team he worked out with is Washington. We did see the trade. Denny ended up going to Portland Trailblazers right now, and the Wizards got in return Malcolm Brogdon and the 14th pick. So now Washington has 2 and 14 to play around with. Portland gets Denny, which actually helps them a whole lot there in Portland. I think you're getting Denny. You're going to get a better player in Denny than you would at 14 in this draft. So that's perfect for them to do right there. But that kind of just points everything to Alex Sarr at number 2 for the Washington Wizards.
No, look, he had one workout. He doesn't want to go anywhere else. This is pretty ideal spot for him at this point. I don't see anything else changing. A trade, maybe the Wizards get cute and they go somewhere else, but pretty sure they're going to go Alex Sarr here as he's the only team they worked out. So I don't see anything else happening, but I guess you never know.
The lock of the century.
Well, yeah, right? Yeah, it's like the lock of the century. Now, Vegas, if I'm a betting man, I would probably put money down, but sometimes Vegas can do a little, bait and switch on you, but I'm pretty sure this is where they're going.
Yeah, so Sarr being probably a number 2. Now, number 3, I think that's kind of where we're going to see the draft pretty much start. If it's going to be Reece Archie, Sarr 1 and 2, regardless if Sarr goes 1, Reece Archie 2, doesn't matter. I think that's the way it's going to go. Woj said a little bit ago that it will be Reece Archie. So yeah, we're getting comments here on X that Woj is basically saying Zachary Reece Archie should be the number 1 pick heading to Atlanta. Hawks draft Rudy Campos from Central Catholic High School. I sure as hell hope not. I don't want to really pack up and move. But on a positive note, if I end up getting drafted by the Hawks, I will be close to Ben because Ben lives in that area. So I can hang out with Ben. So yeah, it is at number 1. Appreciate everybody joining us here on Sweep the League. This is the NBA draft coverage. Again, just to run it back here, when they make the pick on TV, again, we're going to see the comments coming. We're going to know who they pick ahead of time, just like you guys do. Then what I want to do is let y'all know when they make the pick, when Adam Silver makes that pick and lets us know, that's when we will let you guys know. So again, we're not ignoring your comments. We're not ignoring anything like that. That's just the way it's going to work tonight. We will state the pick once they state it online, or not online, but on TV. So leaving at number 3, Ben, the toss-up of all toss-ups here. I've seen Reed Sheppard's name being thrown out to Houston. I said personally, if I'm the Houston FO right now, I am turning in the Donovan Clingan card because him next to Sengun makes a ton of sense right there for the Houston Rockets, knowing that they've already got some great wing play there. What do you see that Houston's going to do at number 3? Because I think that's kind of where the draft starts for us.
I would agree. And I think, a lot of mocks that I've seen have them taking Reed Sheppard. I think a few have the Rockets taking Donovan Clingan. But again, you already have kind of the center you like in Sengun. Why bring another guy who may try to compete for minutes? Or are you going to put Sengun at 4 and kind of throw off the groove that he's created the last 3 years there? I don't know that Clingan is the right move, but Reed Sheppard, a true point guard who can run an offense for you. You don't need Jalen Green to do it for you. You have the coach you want in Ime Udoka. You have a real professional coach now who is going to hold people responsible and hold them accountable. Mm-hmm. So I think Reed Sheppard would fit that very well. He's, even from day one at Kentucky, he was very much a business first kind of player. And, he has the pedigree with his dad playing and his mother playing in college too, and his dad playing pros. So, the mindset is already there for him.
Yeah. So, pretty much, I think Derek and Gio in the pre-show, they were talking about, Reed Sheppard going to Houston. They were pretty much in the mindset. I think I was the only one that maybe thought clinging to Houston would be ideal for them. But then you leave at number 4. And Derek had brought this up in the pre-show when he mentioned that for the Spurs at 4, that's where he would probably end up taking Donovan Clingan right next to Victor, because obviously Victor can become more of that spread 4 that he likes to be, popping shots on the outside behind the 3-point line, still clogging up the middle with Clingan. Derek, your thoughts on Clingan if he's still there at 4? You had mentioned that the Spurs would be a good fit for Clingan at number 4.
Well, I think it's not even a good fit. I think it's a great fit. I just think he kind of reminds me of the hard worker, the blue collar guy. And I went back to Tiago Splitter before. I talked about him. And I think Clingan, he's a guy that can help. And I see Gio's face, but you got to remember this. Gio, certain guys are brought in just to play a particular role. They aren't brought in to be stars. And role players are very important. They're just as important as the stars because they're the ones that have to make the biggest adjustments. But I think bringing him down here in San Antonio with Greg Popovich and these guys, the Spurs, even I can go back to the R.C. Bufords, and now they have a new GM. I just think this will be a perfect fit for him. And I think he's mature above his years. And I think he's a guy they could plug into the mix right now.
Yeah, so that makes sense from Clingan coming to San Antonio. I like the kid's game, rim protector. He's got some really soft feet, really soft hands. He makes a good amount of sense for San Antonio, giving him that other big guy, because then it kind of takes out that Zach Collins, kind of enigma where you can maybe move Zach Collins if you're going to make a trade. Because remember, the Spurs are going to want to move on from some players. The one guy that keeps getting mentioned is Keldon Johnson. If you throw in a Zach Collins along with Keldon Johnson, I think that's a little bit more appealing to get something better in return. Some of these teams might like that better deal than just a Keldon and maybe another pick as well, but throwing a Zach Collins in there, maybe even a Devontae Graham. I mean, there's 3 players right there you can actually move if you go in and get a Klingon. But, Gio, if you're looking at the Spurs at 4, I know you're probably thinking guard more than likely because Stephon Castle has also been rumored as a possible, stopping point for the San Antonio Spurs.
Listen, I like Derek's pick. It's just, I would prefer someone who can also shoot the ball as well. And I know Derek hates, we talked about analytics, right? Has it ruined the game, right? But I would prefer a big man nowadays, at least, to also have a jump shot. And look, he may also fit in well, kind of that Spurs mindset, and he can obviously get eventually a jump shot. But at this point, the 3-point game, pretty non-existent. And besides that, yes, the hustle, yes, the defense. I mean, he doesn't have the greatest perimeter-wise either. So I'm just wondering, does he fit maybe in that long-term effect to where, look, if he can't shoot the ball very well, is going to be very effective with Victor Wembanyama? Because obviously Victor, he's different, right? He can do many different things. And obviously you don't need all shooters, but I would prefer the big man to have a little bit. But to Rudy's point, I would probably go Stephon Castle there. I know that the kid, what's his name? Mathis as well, could provide a spark when it comes to shooting wise. But I mean, Castle, I just don't think they need another big clogging the lane there, because Victor, obviously he wants to shoot more. But if Victor's in a post with another 7-footer, I don't know.
I don't know, man. I mean, to me, it's kind of hard to say because I want to bring Ben up to speed on this. I kind of made this point in the draft show, Ben, was I go towards Klingon because if I want a point guard to run this team, it's already a young team. So why would I want to give the keys to a young point guard to run a young team? And I said, lightning won't strike twice because we're not getting Tony Parker in this draft. So I'm all for getting, golly, the Duke players, I swear. But I'm all for getting the Tyus Jones and keeping Trey Jones to run this team for a while. And that's where Klingon for me came in. But to that point, do you still kind of see them maybe taking a guard at 4? I'm not going to lie. If it's a guard, man, I mean, I like the SEC Player of the Year so much that I'm willing to pay him a little bit of money out of my pocket to get him to San Antonio.
When the Spurs drafted Tony Parker wasn't even Tony Parker, to be fair.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the guy they took with, what was it back then, the 28th pick?
Mm-hmm.
They had no idea he was going to be the point guard of their future. You never know with these guys. It's impossible to project that, especially in a draft like this.
Yeah.
Having said that, both Castle and Reed Shepherd do really nice things that would benefit the Spurs if they picked either of them. And if Klingon does go 3 to the Rockets, I think this is where the Spurs have their first real choice of the night. Do they take Reed Shepherd or do they take Stephon Castle? I think they might be expecting Houston to take Reed Shepherd and make the choice easier for them.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have to go with Castle.
So that drops Castle even further.
Potentially. I mean, it may only drop him one spot when it's all said and done. He may still get taken by now I've lost who the 5th pick who has. That
would be Detroit. I don't think Detroit takes Castle there.
Unless they want to try and move Cade Cunningham around and get him off the ball.
Yeah, I think I kind of like Cade on the ball there. I mean, it's possible, but he makes more sense at the point guard position.
I agree.
And then you can't really see him going to Charlotte. You can't see him going to Portland, which means could he be there again for the Spurs at 8? I mean, that's a very good possibility. I mean, that's the tough part right there.
I mean, if that happens, if they take Castle at 4, do you think that could happen with Reed Shepherd at 8 too in that case?
Probably not, because then Charlotte is probably looking at Reed Shepherd. Detroit, I'm kind of with Derek, and I kind of said it a while back. I think Dalton Connect and Detroit are kind of hand in hand right now. I mean, veteran guy, technically on a college level, so he's going to be able to help these young guys grow. Cade Cunningham's a guy that he can pop it out to. He's going to get his shot off a lot better in Detroit. I think he's just a scorer, and that's something that Detroit needs. But I mean, the possibility of Reed Shepherd, I mean, if you go Castle at 4, I mean, Derek, Gio, can we maybe see Reed Shepherd drop it down to 8? I mean, you go Detroit, Charlotte, Portland. I don't know, because I see Matas Buzella's going either 6 or 7, somewhere in there. So Reed Shepherd possibly dropping to 8 for the Spurs again. That's a possibility.
I wouldn't hate it. I wouldn't hate it.
Derek,
I believe we're going to find. I think he goes to Houston. I think they need shooting, and I think he's the guy that they're targeting, and we'll find out shortly. But I really believe that he goes to the Houston Rockets.
Do you think Reed Shepherd does go to the Houston Rockets?
Yes, I do.
I mean, I think that the possibility is there that he goes to Houston. He's being rumored so much to go to Houston that I can definitely see him possibly going to Houston and that making it the top 3 picks, pretty much guaranteed, leaving the Spurs with, like we said, maybe Castle is just that one guy that we're going to have to end up saying, like, okay, Castle's the guy for the Spurs. But it kind of makes you look at Clingan, because now does he go to Detroit? I mean, Clingan in Detroit is a possibility. Charlotte could use a big man, so then that might be a good fit for Charlotte. Portland has DeAndre Ayton. I don't know how happy they are with DeAndre Ayton. So it's just kind of like
hey, quick question. I haven't heard Zach Edey's name in any of our conversations within the last show, Rudy, and even starting. Any thoughts on Zach Edey, where he might go?
I'm gonna leave that to Ben there.
Of course you are.
You're the guru, man.
Well, Rudy thinks he's the top 12 player.
I had him in the top 12.
I think he's a first round guy in this draft. He's a big man who has a variety of go-to moves. He has counters for his moves. He's very polished. That's the word I'm looking for. He's polished in the post. He will make you, if you put a smaller guy on him, he will make you pay. You can't foul him. He shoots better than 70% from the free throw line. Might even be even better than that, but he's become a much better free throw shooter over the last 2 years. So you can't hack a shack him at the end of games if he's in at the end of games, which is huge, because if you can keep your big man rim protector on the floor and not be an offensive liability, that's a huge win for any team that's trying to play a rookie, no less, at that size. So I think he's a first round guy. I'd say probably somewhere in the mid 20s in this draft, unless somebody just really feels strongly about it and wants to reach for it.
So if you're talking
Miami.
Yeah.
Oh, South Beach, baby.
Miami
at 15, that's kind of in there. So we've got our first pick of the night. So we're going to actually update everybody here. What we do is we're going to announce the first pick of the night. We're going to see, we got our player profiles all ready to go. Everything is everything is in. So we're going to get y'all caught up right now. Like I said, we were not paying attention, but obviously the first pick of the night went to the Atlanta Hawks. First pick is Zachary Risarcier, which we were talking about the pregame show. Zachary Risarcier is the first pick of the Atlanta Hawks. Ben, we've got a 6'8", 202-pound guy, 19 years of age, quick decision maker. He's developing really quick into a knockdown shooter, really good ball handler for his size.
Yeah, the running joke on this is, I saw earlier today on Twitter, he should be giving half his career earnings to Jonathan Givony from ESPN, because that guy was hyping him up hard leading up to the draft. Not to say that he doesn't deserve to be the number one pick by any means, but there was some help there in a very down draft year. Yeah. But like you said, pretty solid defender. He's got a great wingspan. He moves really well. He reads ball handlers' eyes, passers' eyes really well. He can get into the lane and disrupt some passes. He's, again, with the long arms, he makes certain passes really hard for teams. Good ball handler, can get out and transition a little bit. I wouldn't say I'd trust him to, handle the ball a lot and self-create, but pretty solid at his size. Definitely won't hurt the Hawks in that regard. He's going to have to get stronger. Like you've got on one of these cons, he struggles to score at the rim in the half court. And part of that is because he's not as strong as some of the other guys he's playing against. So he doesn't, he can't bully his way to the rim like some other guys can.
Yeah, and actually, we've got 2 picks already have been made. We're going to get everybody caught up right here. Washington Wizards ended up going with Alex Sarr out of France here, Perth Wildcats, France. Alex Sarr is a Washington Wizard. Before we get into the Wizards pick here, we've also got a 3rd pick. We're going to catch everybody up. Ben, we'll get you these 2 picks as well here. The Houston Rockets, they are following the Gio and Derek Gervin train here, and also Ben as well, because Reed Sheppard is a Houston Rocket. So now the San Antonio Spurs are left thinking, what are we going to do? So let's bring up Reed Sheppard real quick for the Houston Rockets. We'll get back into the Alex Sarr. The Alex Sarr part, we kind of see a little bit, that kind of made sense. Only one team he worked out for was the Washington Wizards, but Reed Sheppard going to Houston. Ben, give me a minute real quick on Reed Sheppard. I want to get Gio and Derek's takes on the first 3 picks here as soon as you're done, but
absolutely. So Reed Sheppard, really good shooter, possibly the best shooter in this draft class right now. Like you see there, he's a little on the shorter side. I want to say he measured closer to 6'3" at the combine in shoes, which again, Rudy, you and I have had this discussion. It only matters because you're only playing in shoes. You don't play the game barefoot.
Yeah.
But like you've got here, elite connective playmaker, really good passer, sees the floor well, really good touch, always seems to be in the right place at the right time, gets his hands in when he's digging down on post guys, disrupting lanes. He does a little bit of everything on defense. I don't know if he's going to be a step slow or not in the league, but he makes good decisions on defense and he puts himself in good positions. So pretty good pick for the Rockets, and I hate saying that.
Derek, give us your thoughts. You had obviously Zachary Risacher 1, Alex Sarr 2, Reed Sheppard at 3. Give us your thoughts, and we'll head over to Gio before the Spurs pick comes in.
Well, quickly on Alex Sarr, I think that's a great move for the Wizards. I don't know how he's going to like playing with Jordan Poole and Kuzma if they're still there. But I think for their future, he's a very bright ray of sunshine, basically, and a team that's trying to rebuild. And then we go to, I just think he's a good guy. I think he's a mature player. At one time, they were talking about him as the number 1 pick. I think he's going to learn a lot. He's going to learn quickly in the NBA. And I think the Wizards made a great pick. And of course, you already know we talked about Reed Sheppard. I just think he fits Houston's style of play. They don't have to rush him in. He can learn on the fly during the course of the season. And I think he'll be a factor in their lineup as the season progresses. Maybe not the first half of the season, but as they wind down in the second half of the season, I think his shooting and his ball playmaking will be very important, and it'll be a definite good addition for the Houston Rockets.
All right, Gio, give me your top 3. We got about 45 seconds before the Spurs pick comes in.
Well, I love the Reed pick, and we talked about that earlier. Rudy shot over 50% from the 3-point line. Whenever I saw him play, I'm like, he's got that dog in him, right? He's that type of player. He's going to hustle. So that pick for the Rockets. And look, the first 2 picks were kind of pretty sure we knew where that was going. And for a team like the Wizards who are trying to grow, a good thing that Derek just said, or I think it was Rudy, what's going to happen there? Jordan Poole, Kuzma, is that going to mix for a young player coming in? Because they're really ball dominant. But look, he's going to grow into his body. He's only 19 years old. And look, players are coming out differently. This isn't the Tim Duncan era where people stood, 4 years of college. Players are coming in very differently, different style of players nowadays. So can't wait to see him progress. And then obviously the number 1 pick, he is pretty thin. A lot of these players are thin. They're going to build into their man body. They're going to grow up in the NBA. And just excited to see what's going to happen to them.
Yeah, so right now with Spurs are on the clock, and by the looks of it, they took all the time provided by the NBA. The pick is in for the San Antonio Spurs. We're going to see who it is. We're going to react to that. Obviously, we have a lot of people here in San Antonio. We do cover a lot of San Antonio Spurs basketball here as well. Apparently, Gio's a fan because he's wearing a Spurs jersey. So we're going to make sure to give him.
I wouldn't be wearing this if it wasn't. I'm telling you right now. I wouldn't be wearing an NBA jersey.
Man, so, we're stuck in that scenario that we've been talking about in the pre-game show, in the pre-show. Gio and Derek, as well as Ben, pretty much 1, 2, 3 has been solidified the way you guys have said it. We all felt Reece Shea was going first. We had a little bit of rumors earlier. We all felt if that happened, Sarr was 2. Then the Reed Sheppard pick was coming in for Houston. Everybody believed that. I took the Clingan pick, but with Reed Sheppard going to Houston, that leaves the Spurs. Man, there's so many ways they can go with this pick. Kind of makes it easier. You're going to go Stephon Castle here. Do you see the biggest surprise in the draft come up? we say no, but we have no idea. For all we know, if Silver's going to get up on the podium and say, we have a trade. And then that's, going to throw everybody into a frenzy here. But
the Spurs, they're still like Jared McCain, right? That would be the surprise of the night, right? So.
I think Ben would leave and you see the laptop just close and be like, he's done. You guys can have this on your own, man. So
that's 100% what I would do.
Yeah, it's like, who fits best right here? Stephon Castle, he helps the Spurs in a position that they need. Clingan, it's a good pick. It's a sexy pick, but it's a head scratcher pick. And it's like I posted on social media, man. It's like Jerry West, the way he had said it was, the popular pick is not always the right one. The right one's not always the popular one. But we have Adam Silver now on the podium. He's making the pick right now, and it is going to be Stephon Castle, point guard out of UConn. He is a San Antonio Spur, kind of going with the theme that we were all thinking they were going to go. Very popular choice here. Ben, give us a rundown on Stephon Castle, the 6'5" guard out of UConn, the national championship guard out of UConn.
Love this pick. Big fan. This is exactly who I was hoping the Spurs would pick. Just he does all the things you like to see from your guards. He rebounds the ball well as a guard. He only averaged about 3 assists a game, and that may not feel like a lot, but he also really wasn't running the offense at UConn. He was playing more 2 guard, and the 3-point shooting there might be a little bit concerning, but from what I understand, his workouts were good. He was steadily improving as the season went on, but he does everything you like to see on defense. He is always getting after his guy. He was playing dudes 1 through 4 at the college level and locking them up. He was super fun to watch. If you're a defensive guy, he's super fun to watch. I think this is kind of how I talked about Trey Jones when he was coming out. He just puts the clamps on people. Stephon Castle did that. And by the way, he went to UConn knowing that he was going to have to earn his time because they got a lot of really good players there, and they were returning some guys from a national championship team. And he still went there and he said, I want to play for Coach Dan Hurley. I know Dan Hurley is an intense dude. I still want to play for him, and I want to get coached by that guy. So he's willing to get coached by some hard asses. And I think that's going to be huge.
Yeah, Derek, let's not throw everybody off here because, 26.7% shooting for 3-point range, that's going to change at the NBA level. When you're coming to a team like the San Antonio Spurs, you for sure know when you get to the NBA level, the coaching is going to coach you up. It's going to get you ready for the NBA. They're going to work on your jump shot. They're going to make Stephon Castle that much of a better shooter coming into the league.
Rudy, if you really look at the playoffs, the NCAA playoffs, other than Zach Edey, he might have been the best player in the entire tournament. Mm-hmm. And I mean that. The guy can do everything. He continued to get better game after game. He's a guy that wants to be coached. As Ben said, he defends. He defends at a high level. And he's a guy that seems like he listens. And when you're dealing with a Greg Popovich, it kind of reminds me he's older, but when Pop had to bring Tony Parker, when he brought Tony in, he kind of Pop had to sacrifice a little bit and kind of, give the keys to Tony. And I think that's what he's willing to do with this young man. I think that's a stellar move for the San Antonio Spurs, and I think they just got better.
Gio, Stephon Castle to the Spurs. I mean, defensive guy. He can defend, man. So what are the Spurs getting with Stephon Castle, which pretty much a lot of Spurs fans across social media were wanting Stephon Castle out of UConn.
I love the pick, Rudy. I mean, defensive-minded player. I mean, the guy, as Derek said, he was probably the best player in the tournament. And you got that hustle mindset. You're at Connecticut, a team that just won the championship, and you just see that Spurs kind of old school mentality of defense. He's going to come in there. Sure, the 3-point shot does concern, but at the NBA level, he should definitely improve. There's going to be a lot of resources there to, for him to improve his shot. So I love the pick here. Listen, building around Victor, having different skill sets. This is what's going to take. And this is the first stop of it. So great pickup.
Yeah, great pickup. And what I love is he's going from one great coach to another one, from Dan Hurley.
Rudy, Hey, Rudy, let me say this quickly. The toughness of Mario Elie. Not the same game, but the same toughness.
There you go. You can't. I mean, that's not a better comparison right there than you get from Mario Elie, who Spurs fans know very, very well. The Detroit Pistons are on the clock. Go around the horn real quick here. They got about a couple seconds before that pick is in. Gio, who do you have Detroit taking right here, possibly?
It's probably going to be Clingan. That's
Clingan?
Probably where they're going to go.
What do you got, Ben? Who are you taking at this one for Detroit?
Can they forfeit the pick? I mean, Clingan wouldn't be bad here, though, on the real. There's a couple options. They could go Cody Williams. They could go Modest Buzelis. It's after the Spurs pick at 4, it is a total crapshoot about how this thing shakes out. I don't think there's any rhyme or reason. It could easily be Dalton Connect as well. There's no knowing.
Yeah, that is true. We're going to get here in just a minute. Derek, who do you feel the Pistons are getting? Because I know you want you some Dalton Connect. I hear you're going to get a Detroit Pistons Connect jersey if that happens.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to take Connect, though. I think they're going to go big because it looks like James Wiseman is no longer going to be a Detroit Piston. So I think they're going to address those needs, and I think they're going to take Clingan.
So you got them taking Clingan. That makes a lot of sense, especially if Wiseman isn't going to be there for Detroit anymore. Then, yeah, it does make a lot of sense here. Some news from Woj, like I mentioned earlier, Denny was traded from the Wizards. That's the reason why we saw Alex Sarr getting picked. He's in Portland now, and the Wizards actually get Portland's 14th pick in this draft. So we'll see the Wizards here again in the first round. Nick Claxton, he intends to sign a 4-year, $100 million deal to return to Brooklyn. So, again, good for the Nets there. They're getting Nick Claxton back, one guy who was possibly rumored to be on the move. Not anymore. We have the Pistons pick on deck right now. We're going to see who they are taking. We're going to take a quick second here, be an 8-second commercial break. We'll be right back. Sweep the league.
Digital.
So we got some comments in here. Castle is a solid pickup. Looking forward to seeing him on the court with the team. Is he an instant starter day one? Let's ask that question while we're waiting for Detroit to make this pick right now.
Possible. I'm going to say no, though.
You got no from Gio. Derek, what do you think? Is he a day one starter for the San Antonio Spurs?
I'm going to say by the time they go through training camp and everything, I'm going to say yes, because I believe Pop's going to turn the team over to him. Yes.
All right, Ben, you got to break the tie now, man. You can say maybe, and then we're all screwed for the night.
I got him in now. I got to give you something. I think day one starter, no. I think as the season progresses, he will eventually become the starter.
I think so.
I can see that
That is
too.
worth.
I think he's going to be. Remember when Tony got here? You had Antonio Daniels as a starter, and then Tony kind of took the reins in the little bit of the season. The possibility is there because let's be real. It's not a knock on Trey, but he's got to just play better than Trey Jones in order to be the starting point guard for the Spurs.
There's my answer.
The pick is in for the Detroit Pistons, and it is.
Oh, my goodness.
It is one Ron Holland, which when we say shake up the draft, we are definitely here to shake up the draft. Man, we've got Ron Holland out of G League Ignite, 6'8", 195-pound, 18-year-old, 15.3 points a game. I mean, the thing with Ron Holland is just one word. It's explosive. He's a very explosive type of person, but his jump shot needs a lot of work, man. His game, to me, is about as raw as it can be right now. I think it's going to take a lot for him to get acclimated in the NBA. This is way higher than I expected Ron Holland to go, and he's going to Detroit.
Yeah, this is I think Detroit knows what it wants. They want that perimeter versatility from him. I think that's what they're looking for, and they're going to get it. They're going to have to teach him how to shoot a little bit. Mm-hmm. He did not look good shooting the ball this year. I think there were times when he was tentative. There were times he could not, like you've got here, he doesn't gain an edge when he's isolating, when he's trying to create his own shot. There was one clip I saw going around when G League Ignite did play one of the French teams, and Zachary Ricochet was on it. Ricochet was guarding him, totally put the clamps on him. Holland couldn't get a move, couldn't get a shot off. I mean, he had to get rid of the ball, and like there's just a lot of people pointing to that clip as to one of the things that Ron Holland struggles with. And they'd be right, but there's a lot more to a player than one clip.
Yeah, Gio, we got Ron Holland going to Detroit here. I'm going to go to Derek here in a little bit, but I know with Derek being a Detroiter, it's going to be kind of a tough one to come off for the mindset right here. But Ron Holland to Detroit, I mean, he's a young guy, and it's a young Detroit ball squad. I don't know if he actually fits the scheme there. Possibilities that this could be on the move sometime later after the draft? I mean, I don't know, man. It's kind of head-scratching to me here for Ron Holland.
It's possible, Rudy. And they got to have a plan. You got to have a plan in place. And as of right now, we'll see in a few years if that plan made any sense or not. But look, he's an explosive finisher. I mean, he could definitely get to the basket. But as Ben said, the shooting, he's going to have to improve mightily in the NBA game. And, back to some of the analytics part, listen, if you can't shoot a lick, I'm not sure where you can fit in. But as I said, explosive, can get to the basket, can finish around the rim. Definitely can use that skill set in the NBA. But I don't understand this. I mean, you had other opportunities, people already there. Dalton was there, maybe a saloon. I mean, I just don't see why you would go that route with Ron Holland, but they might see something. Hey, listen, I'm not in the front office. I don't have a job anywhere like that. So what do I know, right?
Derek, man, Ron Holland going here.
This is a trade move. This is a Trajan Langdon move here. Do you hear me? I guarantee you this young man was not on the Pistons board. This is a Trajan Langdon move. And you know what this tells me? There is going to be a trade. And that means, in my mind, there's going to be a guy returning to Detroit by the name of Tobias Harris. And I think Holland fits in with Philadelphia because with Tobias getting out of there, and I don't know the Kelly Oubre situation yet, I think this is a move for the Philadelphia 76ers, and I can see Tobias Harris returning to the Detroit Pistons.
There you go. It's like I said before, it might be a trade type of piece, drafting him this high. He could be on the move by the time the night's over. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we get back, we're going to get into the Charlotte Hornets picks, who's going to be here just a little bit. If they make the pick while we're on commercial break, we will catch you guys up. This is Sweep the League. We will be back with you in just a little bit here. Living in South Texas, we all love to eat, especially tacos. Oh boy, La Cocina Taco Truck should be your only stop every time. They are just a short drive away, located at 283 West San Antonio Street in New Braunfels, Texas. There is no order too big or small for the staff to handle. Whether it's the ever so popular street tacos all the way to the amazing quesadillas, La Cocina will satisfy your appetite, guaranteed. Head over to see them at 283 West San Antonio Street in New Braunfels, Texas. Make that short drive so you can be satisfied at La Cocina Taco Truck. Proud sponsors of Sweep the League.
Iceman Gervin, and you're listening to Sweet Philly Radio.
Yeah, shout out to George Gervin, Mayor, the Iceman there. Derek, I'm going to need you to text George and ask him what he felt about that Detroit pick, because I don't know if he's a little bothered by that pick as well. But also shout out to La Cocina Taco Trucks, proud sponsors of Sweep the League. Also MCS General Contracting. Both companies are sponsors of Sweep the League. They're making, bless you, they are making this show go. They are making this NBA draft show go. We've also got the NBA post-game or post-draft.
Rudy, where are my tacos at, Rudy?
I don't know if I can ship tacos to you, but when you come to San Antonio, I definitely will take you to La Cocina because they said they have healthy taco versions. So nonetheless, man, we're going to run through the quick draft real quick. Number 1, Reese RCA, Alex Arway to the Wizards, Reed Shepherd to the Houston Rockets, Stephon Castle, 4 to the Spurs, which those 4 picks we can pretty much say were easy going, smooth as hell. Detroit came in at number 5 and said, you know what? Let me shake this up. Let me drop the bomb. Let me get Ron Holland, which Derek Irvin basically said, this is a Trajan Langdon move. I kind of made the question to everybody here, is this a move that's going to be probably on the move? It could be a trade piece for Detroit. I'm sorry. Derek made the key point there that it could be a move to Philadelphia. Tobias Harris obviously is not going to want to be in Philadelphia anymore. Him going back to Detroit for Ron Holland, maybe Kelly Oubre on the move as well. That could be something to keep an eye on, that this Ron Holland pick, as much of a head scratcher as it is, it probably is going to be a pick that's on the move. We'll find out later on today. The Charlotte Hornets are on the clock, so they've used the entire clock. The pick is in, obviously. Do they go Klingon here? I mean, Klingon's falling. I don't know. They've been rumored to be tied to Tijan Saloon right here. So, because this where we see another French guy go off the clock, I mean, off the board, it's a tough thing to go through right now. It's kind of wondering what they're going to do. Can they go Dalton Connect? I mean, that would be LaMelo Ball. You know, that would give him a running mate there. It's kind of up in the air. I did like Matas Bazulis in this position here. Real quick, guys, around the horn, Ben, where do you think that the Hornets go with this pick?
I mean, I already know, so I don't want to ruin anything. Mm-hmm. But thanks, Woj, for giving us all the picks way too far in advance. But I can tell you they're not going to go for Klingon. There were talks that Portland might trade up a pick to try and get Klingon.
Yeah.
But it doesn't look like they'll need to, as Charlotte will keep its pick. And they're going to get a wing.
Yeah, before you guys go on the pick as well, the pick is in, and it's going to pretty much upset a lot of Spurs fans as Frenchman and superstar, who I think is probably the best player in this draft when it's all said and done, Tijan Saloon, forward out of Chalet, France, 6'9", 203 pounds, 7'1" wingspan, 18-year-old. Finally, Charlotte has done something good in taking a player who I believe is going to be probably one, if not the best player in this draft, a locked-in defender, man. He's an athletic finisher. He does need to improve on his fundamentals as an all-ball defender. His passing game, I don't think they're going to rely on him to pass the ball much, but he is a very sloppy passer. Shooting off the ability off the dribble is going to need to be worked on. But again, this is a project pick. Charlotte's not going to be a playoff team anytime soon. It's going to allow him to develop, which is going to be good for Tijan Saloon. Give us a quick rundown on Saloon here, Ben, then we'll get Derek and Gio's takes on this.
So Saloon, like you said, bit of a project play. Very athletic, though. Moves incredibly well. Pretty solid shooter now. Could probably be better. Has to be a bit of a better defender. But I think with him, the other thing is, I mean, you're making a play for the future here. He's a good driver. It's a very home run pick for Charlotte, which if I'm Charlotte, I'm not sure how many more big home run swings I can take? You have LaMelo Ball, and even he has had issues the past couple years, and they've missed on free agent signings, and it seems like they've missed on draft picks. They have to get this right.
Yeah, that's kind of where I didn't think about the project part. But Gio, for Sajon Saloon and Charlotte, I mean, project picked here, and again, like Ben made the statement, they got to start making some of these picks count.
Well, Rudy, you know what the issue is, right? Your boy over there, Michael Jordan, Mr. Tar Heel, screwing it up all the time. But anyway, no, he's a versatile player, a two-way player. He is very young. Look, this is not a pick right now. He's not starting day one. It's going to take time, but this could potentially be a home run in the next several years. LaMelo Ball, he's been, in and out of lineup. He's been hurt. But this is a player that can hopefully get that foundation going, because Charlotte, I mean, good Lord, they just have not been very good in a long time. Even, they made that playoff series, I think, 1 year against the Heat, but gee, come on. What's going on with your boy MJ, Rudy?
I have no idea. I mean,
he's not the owner anymore. That's what's going on.
Well, so this is probably a good thing. They actually made a good pick as MJ's gone, but
yeah, I was going to say he's not there. So I mean, he can't say he screwed this up. I mean, it was actually a decent pick for the Charlotte Hornets, man.
No, I know, but I mean, like in previous years, clearly.
Yeah. Well,
who did they draft last year? Do you guys remember who they drafted last year?
I don't know why it's not Kai Jones. That was honestly I can't remember offhand.
I can't remember either.
What team did Brandon Miller go to?
Oh, Brandon Miller, yeah. Brandon Miller.
Yeah. You guys are I think y'all forgot. They had the guy who was third in the Rookie of the Year voting last year. Mm-hmm. So they're actually on the upswing. I just wanted to remind you guys. I'm not going by their path. Yeah, they move. They're on the upward trend now. And this guy's only going to enhance that. He can get up down the floor. He doesn't have to have the ball in his hands a lot. He can catch and shoot the ball. I think it's another excellent pick.
It is an excellent pick. I mean, he's going to be a little bit of a project. I think he's going to be a year away from being, consistent, which, again, I even if he went to the Spurs, I wouldn't have expected him to make an impact right away. But with LaMelo Ball having Brandon Miller and now Saloon, he's got some running mates with him. I mean, Brandon Miller can be a focal point on this team, but I still think they got to nail something in free agency, man. They got to nail something in free agency, because that's kind of where I think they're going to have to get that veteran guy in here. And that's my take for the Hornets. Real quick, Derek, actually, we got the Portland pick in. Let's get the Portland pick, and I'm going to get your thoughts here on Shortland as well as Portland.
Perfect.
So the Portland Trailblazers, they are actually going with Donovan Clingan. He made it down to Portland. They were trying to trade up to him.
Perfect.
Yeah, they were trying to trade up to get Donovan Clingan. Nobody budged, and they ended up getting him right here at 7. So Donovan Clingan here, 7'1" out of UConn, national title winner, 13 points a game, 2.5 blocks a game, 7.4 rebounds a game. Ben, give me a quick minute on Clingan here so I can get to Derek on the Saloon, the Charlotte Hornets, and also for the Clingan pick here.
Absolutely. You're pairing him now with Denny Avdia. You've got a nice young core in Portland. He's going to be able to grow up and mature with them. I think it's a nice pick. You have a true rim protector now. Hopefully they have some insurance for inevitably when one of their bigs gets injured, like what happens every year with Portland for whatever reason. So really good pick for them. Kind of fell in their lap at 7. It was a no-brainer for them.
Yeah, easily a no-brainer. They're building something good in Portland. Derek, Clingan in Portland, and also, like I said, we mentioned Saloon in Charlotte, those back-to-back picks. Give us your thoughts on those two, because Clingan in Portland, it's going to help Chauncey Billups a lot out there.
Well, Saloon, I pretty much covered. He can shoot the ball. And plus, if you look at Saloon, you have time for him to develop, because they still got to get LaMelo Ball healthy. So I don't think they're really trying to do a lot of great things this year. I think they're preparing for the future, but he has a chance to learn as LaMelo Ball gets back into basketball shape and gets it back to the guy that we knew he was, a potential all-star player before he got hurt. As far as Clingan, that tells me that Chauncey wasn't really feeling DeAndre Ayton's attitude. The same reason he was moved from Phoenix. So they moved Nurkic to go Phoenix, and they moved him here, and it doesn't look like they got exactly what they wanted. He wants to shoot jump shots a lot. And Ayton, he's not a big rebounder, and he's not really a guy that's going to cover the basket. If you remember, Jokic is just absolutely abusing him under the basket, and he wasn't even trying. He didn't try to contest shots. He basically just stood there. So I think this young man has been brought in to push him every day in practice, and if it doesn't pan out, they can always move Ayton, and this young man here can continue to learn and develop, and they can go get another veteran center if they have to. But I think Cleveland, this is one of the best moves of the draft so far for the Portland Trailblazers. Great pickup.
Yeah, give me something, Gio.
I don't know what is up with DeAndre. It's something about his attitude, his demeanor. I'm just not a big fan. And here we go again. I'm sure he's not happy about this pick, but I think it just makes a whole lot of sense. And obviously with the injuries in the past, but this is a guy who can definitely fill in very well. If they end up trading Ayton, which honestly, I just think it just makes sense. If they get more assets back, depending on what they can get back, but I think it's a perfect move for the Blazers, a team that just give it a few more years. They're growing. They're going to get there. They got talent on that team, but I thought it was a great pickup for the Blazers.
Very good pickup. Where Clingan fits in too is, you obviously have Scoot Henderson there, Shaedon Sharpe is there, Simons is there, Anthony Simons is there. You've got some good guard play there. And Clingan is a hell of a screen setter. He can set a good screen for you. He's a very big guy. He can roll to the basket. You've got quick enough guards and wing players in Portland that is actually going to make a player like Clingan way more valuable, in my opinion. Big men in the middle, they get to the basket, the defense collapse on them. You got a 7'1" guy right there just waiting for that. And he is a master around the basket. So what I like about him is he's just a paint guy. He's a paint guy. He's going to play hard-nosed basketball, and that's something that Portland definitely needs right now. Donovan Clingan is a Portland Trailblazer, so that definitely means that the Spurs are back on the clock. After the Stephon Castle move at number 4, Derek, our boy, our SEC Player of the Year is still there, Dalton Knecht.
Good.
I'm liking Knecht. He was number 3. Actually, he was number 2 on my Spurs big board. My Spurs big board was Castle, Knecht, and Saloon. Castle's there. Saloon's gone. My number 2 big person on my big board for the Spurs is still there. Are they going to take Dalton Knecht? I mean,
they better,
guys. They better.
You see my face. Hey, look, you know how the fans were like when Victor came, you know how the fans go out to the airport? Man, you familiar. You know how they stand out there? If they take this young man, This might be my first time going out to the airport so I can welcome a player. That's how highly I think of Dalton Knecht. Rudy, you already know how high I think of him. I talked about him when he was at Tennessee. Yeah. I just think he has a really, really bright future. If you remember, we compared him to certain players. Mm-hmm. First, I mentioned Matt Harpring, but I think he has more skill. And we mentioned the Keith Van Horn. Yeah. I think this young man here can play the game of basketball, and I certainly hope the Spurs don't let him slide. This is the move for the San Antonio Spurs in my eyes.
Yeah, Ben, what do you got for the Spurs right here, man?
I think they're going to disappoint Derek Irvin here. Sorry, man. I don't know how you're going to feel about this, but I think they're about to upset you. I'm seeing, and it looks like there may be a trade involved too. We'll have to see if that happens later in the night. But I would have loved to have Dalton Knecht in San Antonio. Like you said, great shooter. He just understands the game very well. Knows how to get his own shot. Knows how to run to the rim. Knows how to cut. Knows how to use screens both on and off the ball. I loved watching Dalton Knecht play, especially because there were times at Tennessee he was their only source of offense. that team struggled to score at times, and there were times he had to go and get 30 points. He had to go and get 25 points for that team to win.
Ben, I'm not upset. Rudy will tell you I'm not upset with this. Well,
Okay.
Go ahead, Rudy.
Oh, you're good. San Antonio Spurs have made the pick, and it actually is a guy that's been tied to the Spurs, and not my favorite guy, but definitely a favorite of a lot of Spurs fans here. That is Rob Dillingham out of Kentucky, is now the newest San Antonio Spurs. So they go back-to-back point guards. And again, I think this is like Ben made mention. Rob Dillingham here, I feel one of these guys is on the move. It actually might be Dillingham. You might see a team later on in the first round that wanted to move up to get Dillingham. Probably weren't able to. So Rob Dillingham as of right now, is a San Antonio Spur at number 8. 6'1" guard, Ben, point guard, 19-year-old. Man, a silky smooth playmaker off the dribble. Very good shooter. I mean, he's a guy coming off screens that can just doesn't need a whole lot of space to get his shot off. Plays some pretty good defense, but he needs to work on his defense to be a very good defender in the league. Passing is not to point guard standards by all means, but again, you're getting a point guard that can score. Give us real quick a rundown on Rob Dillingham out of Kentucky.
So like you said, really good shot maker, good shot creator. There were a ton of times at Kentucky when that offense was sputtering at the end of a shot clock. He was the guy taking the shot, and a lot of times he was making the shot. So you should get a lot of credit for that. You could argue that the assist numbers aren't there because some of the other guys on his team weren't good shooters. You know, basically the exception to that was Antonio Reeves and Reed Shepherd.
Yeah.
Those were his two good shooters. But for whatever reason, Calipari had some really weird lineups where he was playing odd guards together. And I actually don't know off the top of my head how much Dillingham and Reed Shepherd were playing together. I imagine it would have been actually very fun to watch them play a majority of minutes together. They probably would have fed off each other very well. Mm-hmm. But it's looking like this pick is getting moved to Minnesota. So I wouldn't get too excited. It sounds like the Spurs might be getting something in return from the Timberwolves. Who knows? Maybe they gave the Spurs Anthony Edwards straight up to Rob Dillingham. Who says no?
That would be the deal of the century, right, Derek?
Yeah,
Or maybe
yes,
even
it would.
the Dilly of the century.
So we're talking about Rob Dillingham drafted by the Spurs. Again, this is probably a move that's going to be traded. Again, you know, could they actually end up keeping Dillingham and moving Castle, or do you feel Dillingham's going to be the guy on the move?
Hey, Rudy, can I address that?
Go ahead.
I think I don't want people to think I'm crazy, but I could see the Spurs keeping Dillingham and moving Castle. And the reason I say that is because Castle fits the mold of who? Mike Conley.
Yeah.
That's true.
I think that's a better move for Minnesota, and I think Dillingham is the perfect guy for the Spurs because the Spurs need a guy that can shoot the ball and can get up and down the floor. So I think Dillingham stays, and I think Castle goes.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too, that it might end up being Stephon Castle. And actually, Derek, who just came across the board right now, Adrian Wojnarowski is reporting Minnesota has traded for the 8th pick and Rob Dillingham. So Dillingham is actually going to be on the move right now. So the Spurs pick at 8 for Dillingham, it's going to be on the move. The Timberwolves are trading a 2031 unprotected first and protected 2030 pick swap for the Spurs for Rob Dillingham.
And it looks like, for what it's worth, that 2030 pick is top 1 protected.
Yeah, it's top 1 protected.
boy.
2030. So 2031, I'm sorry.
You couldn't get nobody back.
Ben, you the man, Ben.
I think it's funny because you're going to tell me what the Minnesota Timberwolves think they have a realistic shot of getting the number 1 pick in 2030.
It's
So they're going to protect just the 1 pick. It's not a top 5. It's not a top 10 protected pick. It's just a top 1 protected pick.
I'm striving to stay alive till 2031 so I can see all this play out and 2030. So we're definitely saying, yeah, we are announcing it now that Ben did bring it up that the Dillingham pick was going to be moved.
I was getting excited too, Rudy.
I'm sorry, Gio, to disappoint you. You know what? I'm going to let you talk now about Dillingham, who is now a Timberwolf, Gio.
Look, he's a shot creator. I mean, he can get to the rim. He can create his own shot at certain points. You know, he is kind of a bit small at 6'1". I mean, that's actually my height, so I don't actually think I'm too tall. But obviously, I couldn't play in the NBA. But I like this pickup for the Timberwolves. I mean, look, they're a defensive-minded team, of course, but you get a guy in there that could potentially definitely come in and play some minutes. I mean, you know, he probably needs obviously the ball in his hand, but you got Anthony Edwards there. But for the Timberwolves team, I actually like this pick. It's not someone who's gonna. I don't see him starting right away, so it's definitely a pick where he can come in, do his thing, and for a team who's looking to take that next step, I think they're heading the right direction. But for the Spurs, a 2031, Rudy, I'm going to be almost 40 years old by then.
We like the team we have. That's basically it. And I'm just going to go ahead and, I'm going to pat myself on the back here because a certain player did go in the top 12 where I had him ranked. He actually went two spots ahead. And the Memphis Grizzlies went and decided, you know what? We need a big man. Why not get the biggest man out there, Zach Edey out of Purdue? Going to the Memphis Grizzlies, 7'3", 299-pound monster, 7'10" wingspan. Derek, you mentioned earlier, we're going to get to you in a second, but you mentioned earlier that they need to get a big man to move Jaren Jackson to the 4 spot. They went out and got probably one of the better big men in here. Was it too early? I think so. But nonetheless, Zach Edey is donning a Memphis jersey. Ben, minute on Zach Edey real quick here.
What can I say that I haven't already said about Zach Edey? I love watching him play, and him going to Memphis actually makes me a little angry because now he's going to learn how to be the toughest dude in the league at 7'3" from Steven Adams, who is actually the toughest guy in the league. So for him to learn from Steven Adams and eventually supplant him, I think it will be amazing. It will also be incredibly frustrating for other opponents.
Derek, they got their big man, like you said, and earlier in the pre-draft show, and even earlier in this draft show, you mentioned that they needed a big man so they can kind of move Jaren Jackson back to the 4. How you feeling about Edey in Memphis right now?
Well, a lot of people looked at him as a project. I don't look at him as a project, but it tells me that they're going to go more into their half-court game if things don't work out as far as getting the ball up and down the floor. I think he's going to be a good NBA player. It might take a minute, but I think it's going to make it easier for Jaren and Brandon Clark and all those guys, and I think they're going to welcome him. And I think the city of Memphis is really happy about this move. I think Ja Morant will like this move, and I think as we move forward, he's going to be another really good player. People have to remember, Jokic is not exactly Speedy Gonzalez. So I think it's a good move. It's a really good move for the city.
I do like that move. The Utah Jazz, Gio, they're on the clock right now, and actually the pick is in for Utah. Lauri Markkanen, we've been hearing rumors about him maybe being moved. Colin Sexton also being moved. But if they just so happen to say, you know what, we've got Walker Kessler, we've got Lauri Markkanen, we've got Colin Sexton, what do we need? They could go Dalton Connect right here and just make that team even more scoring efficient. Next to Lauri and Dalton, that's a nice 1-2 combo out on the perimeter.
Listen, he could score. He's a scorer, right? Not obviously the greatest defender ever. He's a bit slow-footed there. He has to improve. But Rudy, just on scoring alone, I mean, that's would perfectly in Utah, a team kind of building up. If Dalton Connect goes there, I wish the Spurs drafted him, but the Spurs obviously had other plans in 2031, so we're not going to see that. But Dalton Connect makes a whole lot of sense for the Jazz. Yeah. I mean, look, he can shoot the 3. I'm big on that. Clearly, it's in today's game. So I think it's a match made in heaven over there in Utah. So, but yeah, Spurs 2031. Come on.
A match made in heaven that did not happen. The Utah Jazz. They ended up going with Cody Williams.
2031.
Maybe the other Williams kid will be, ready by then. Cody and Jalen Williams' brother, but Cody Williams is going to be a Utah Jazz. This kind of feels like a pick where we mentioned right before they picked, Ben, one that we could probably see Lauri Markkanen on the move by drafting Cody Williams here. 7'1" wingspan, project pick. He's not like Jalen Williams right now. It's going to take him a little bit longer to get, solidified in the NBA, but it's a very good problem to have. He has a lot of potential, Cody Williams. Run down on Cody Williams out of Colorado.
Yeah, agreed. Bit of a project player, but the flashes that he showed were bright. And I think that's what is attracting a lot of people. I mean, you see the 3-point shooting percentage there. Take it with a bit of a grain of salt. It's on very low volume. I'm pretty sure it was less than 3 attempts a game. So it was fairly low volume from what you generally see from guys considered shooters coming out of college. But the wingspan, the athleticism, knowing that his brother is in the league already, he was a much more highly touted recruit coming out of high school than his brother was. Played at a bigger university, bigger school. I think that's helped him a lot. Do not underestimate, the pedigree when you have a sibling or you have a family member who's been in the NBA who has played at a high level. They know how to then prepare you to play at that high level. And obviously they won't be together on the same team doing it all the time, but they'll be able to swap stories, things like that. So I think very good pick for Utah, but they're definitely playing the long game with that one. I don't think this would signal a Lauri Markkanen move. They don't play the same position, although I think Utah might be looking to get rid of Lauri Markkanen anyway. I just don't think this move signals that.
Yeah. Okay.
No.
Okay. Derek, Cody Williams out of Colorado going to Utah. How you feeling on this? And Ben might have point. He had a brother in the NBA. You've had a brother in the NBA. That's, when y'all played together, does that brotherly connection help you out in any sort of way going to the NBA?
Yeah, I think it does, because you see what your brother goes through on a daily basis, as far as maturation, as far as dealing with on the court and off the court. So it kind of, matures you a lot sooner than some guys that don't have that experience of having a brother. When I went into the NBA, I already knew what the expectations, how to behave and all that, because my brother had already been through it. And this move for me, I love this young man. This tells me that San Antonian guy from Wagner High School is going to be moving, Rudy. And that's a guy by the name of Jordan Clarkson.
Yeah.
I think Jordan's on the move. I think they have a really good I like Keontae George. And I think you can more so put Keontae George into that scoring role that Jordan Clarkson has been in. And you could put the ball in this young man's hands a lot to make good decisions. So I think it was a great move.
Yeah, I like the move for Cody Williams. It's going to be a little bit of a project pick for the Utah Jazz. Gio, we're going to go to a quick commercial break. On the way back, I'm going to get your thoughts on Cody Williams. Before the Bulls pick here, kind of saw a glimpse of what they might be doing. We'll get into that here in just a little bit here. This is Sweep the League. First round draft coverage coming to you all night. We'll be back with the post-draft show as well. So here's a quick commercial break from Sweep the League. Again, sponsored by MCS General Contracting and La Casina Taco Truck. A family is just like your home. It starts with a great foundation. MCS General Contracting can make sure your foundation is off to a perfect start. Whether you're wanting to build a pool, expand a patio, or build a driveway, MCS General Contracting should be your only call. They provide top-notch customer service and will stand by their work 100% of the time. Why trust the rest when you can just call the best? Build the best foundation now for your home and your family, because a good foundation is the perfect start to a happy life. Contact MCS General Contracting today at 210-774-9155. Proud sponsors of Sweep the League.
Hi, it's Sherilyn, and you're watching Sweep the League. Subscribe and share.
Rudy Campos Jr. here from Sweep the League. Hey, make sure you go and follow Sherilyn on Instagram. Just search official Sherilyn on Instagram.
Digital rich.
Welcome back to the live coverage of Sweep the League's NBA Draft 2024, joined by Coach Gio, Derek Gervin, and Project Spurs' own Ben Bornstein, our college draft guru here. Gio, we saw Cody Williams at Utah here. Bulls are on the pick. Give me a quick insight on how you feel about Cody Williams being part of the Utah Jazz.
A pretty good pick. I mean, look, he's not going to start right away. It's going to take some time, but having a sibling in the NBA, I'm pretty sure that works wonders. They could definitely work out in the offseason. I'm sure they already do. But I think he could be a pretty good dynamic playmaker once things get rolling. And for a Jazz team, I can tell they're definitely building something there. I love George. I think he's a really good player, and he's going to be something special in the next few years. But love to pick up for a team that's definitely building. A few years ago, Rudy, they kind of gutted the whole team. We kind of wasn't sure where they're going, but you can see something brewing there in Utah.
Yeah, I do like that brewing in Utah. And, Derek, you mentioned about Jordan Clarkson probably being on the move. He's been a name that's been tied to possibly some trades in the offseason. So I like that Jordan Clarkson the move could it be back to San Antonio? I don't know if it'd be back to San Antonio, but I do think he's going to be on the move, definitely out of Utah, with the Cody Williams pick here. But they're building something nice in Utah. That's for sure. I won't doubt that at all.
Do you give up marketing? If you building like this, why would you give up your best player? That's the only thing I'm trying to figure out.
I don't know. Marketing is the best player, but everybody would pay a pretty penny for Larry Marketing. I know probably the Spurs would if they had the opportunity.
Remember they had Danny Ainge there. We're talking about a brilliant mind. So, Danny's the type that started looking at the big picture, and I'm not going to give up my franchise player and send him somewhere else, and then I end up regretting it later on down the line.
Yeah.
Well, the Spurs their focus is 2031, so we won't really get anything.
You're never gonna let that go, are you, man? You're never gonna.
It's kind of mind-boggling to me. Sorry.
So the Chicago Bulls are going with what's kind of considered they kind of said a local kid.
He's from there.
He is from there. So yeah, it is Matez Buzelis. Again, nice project picked here. I do like Buzelis' game. Definitely out of G League Ignite, 6'8", 197-pound player. He's very versatile on the offensive end. He can develop better jump shot, savvy player, good team defender. But if you're asking for him to be a solid one-on-one defender, he's not that guy. He can be a team type of defender, but not a one-on-one defender. Again, another project pick. Can get to the rim, but has trouble finishing at the rim. Ben, Matez Buzelis for the Chicago Bulls right here.
Like you said, I think we're going to say this a lot in this draft, but he's a project pick. His upside right now is probably as a strong role player. The Chicago Bulls are in a really weird place. I'm not sure that's going to help him. I know Billy Donovan is a pretty good coach. He's developed guys and gotten them to the NBA when he was at Florida. So hopefully he can take some of that. He'll be able to help Matez Buzelis get there, get to a level where he can be a consistent NBA contributor. Again, it is incredibly hard to evaluate how well or how badly guys played with G League Ignite. That team was atrocious, even by G League standards. And it was, I just don't think they were very well coached. And I think that plays a role in it. And, Buzelis getting to the NBA, getting some NBA coaching should help him.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be definitely be an interesting thing, and it's kind of with the Caruso move. You know, Buzelis kind of fits right in there. Now that Caruso is not there, obviously they got Josh Giddey in return. We still don't know what's going to happen with DeMar DeRozan or Zach LaVine. Yeah, Derek going for Matas Buzelis for the Chicago Bulls. What are your thoughts on that? And we'll get to Gio's as well here.
Well, you mentioned him not being a one-on-one defender. I don't think Lonzo Ball is a great one-on-one defender either. So it's kind of, you have to give up something. This tells me that they're going to still go after a veteran, possibly, I believe, and kind of groom this young man. But I think Zach LaVine is no longer going to be a Chicago Bull when it's all said and done. And this guy's going to be insurance. I think they're going to go ahead and send LaVine somewhere else for a veteran, and that veteran is going to tutor this young man. And then I think we're looking at a player that's going to be a really good player 3-4 years down the line. So I think it's a good move for Billy Donovan. I think it's a good move for the Chicago Bulls.
Yeah, it's a really good move. Gio, give me a thoughts right here real quick. We got a special guest coming on right now, so give me a couple of thoughts, brother.
I think pretty good. Look, it's a project picked, getting a veteran there to kind of Tulich. As Ben said, the Ignite thing didn't end well, clearly. So do we really know what these players are going to look like in the NBA? I have an idea, but you never know, right? This is the beauty of the NBA draft, Rudy. Sometimes you just don't know. You pick up someone, you never know, and boom, they, play very well. But Chicago, man, if LaVine is gone, who knows what's going to happen with DeRozan? It could be bare bones, right? With your two top stars potentially not being there anymore. I lived in Chicago for a while. The Bulls seem to be a second thought there, but interesting what's going to happen next for the franchise.
Yeah, it's definitely. It's not a head scratcher pick. It makes sense for them to take Matas Buzelis right there. I mean, there's still a lot of other guys that are definitely available. I mean, we keep talking about Connect. You've got Oklahoma City, coming up next year, and it's almost one of those things like, okay, where does Oklahoma City go deep? They didn't lose anything when they traded Josh Giddey away. They actually got better with Alex Caruso. I mentioned this, I think, to Jeff and a couple of people, saying, if this guy is there for Oklahoma City, do they end up taking him? Because you can kind of wait on him, and that's Nikola Topic. I mean, Topic here at Oklahoma City, you can wait for him to, if he's got an injury concern, let him kill. It's like they almost don't need anything but a big man, but there's really not a huge big man right there that you want to draft this high. And if you do, you may want to trade down. I mean, you have Missy out of Baylor. You've got Khalil Ware. You've got Adam Bona again. You've got big guys there, but I don't think they're worth taking right in the lottery. So trade down if you're Oklahoma City, see what you can get as far as draft capital goes. And then if not, if you want to draft, I mean, Nikola Topic is there. You can go get a Dalton Connect. I mean, that he's still out there. That pretty is scary having to connect. And, you got Williams, you got SGA there. Oklahoma City is actually in a really good spot. Before we get to the Oklahoma City pick, we got a special guest online with us right now. We're going to bring him on. Jeff Garcia is joining us from the San Antonio Spurs war room, basically, over at the Frost Bank Center. Jeff, how's everybody feeling with the Spurs organization right now?
Let me just tell you, everybody knows that there's fans outside the Spurs practice facility watching the draft. When number 8 pick was announced and then the news came out that's getting traded, everybody packed their bags and left in an instant. People are not happy. Fans here at the center are not happy. Everybody in the media room was just got quiet, scratching their heads. And then people started filing out. It was quick. But if we're circling back to their first pick, number 4, Castle, everybody, the vibe in the media room was kind of like expected, like no surprise. Like, okay, sure, not a problem. The words that were used were safe, typical. Yeah, that's what we thought. So, it kind of felt like a ho-hum draft for the Spurs here at the Rocket La Cantera with the fan viewing party and the media viewing party. But, the Spurs did address their need for a guard, so check off of that. And My big question now is, did this delay the rebuild by trading away Dillingham /8 for future draft picks?
Yeah, it's tough to say. I mean, if it did or it didn't. I mean, I know Dillingham is a scorer, and that's something that they need. And it's kind of what we discussed here is, they basically got, picks from 2030 and 2031 for Dillingham. So kind of is a head scratcher when it came to that. I can kind of understand why fans are fouling out.
And you know what? I'm thinking that when I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce his name. When Saloon went off the board, maybe that's when the Spurs said, "All right, we're done." What if that was their guy and they said, "Well, Charlotte ain't budging. We can't move up. Nobody wants to deal with this, so we're done for the night." But nevertheless, you get Castle, you get Dillingham, at least for the moment, and you shore up that point guard depth tremendously. And but here we are, future picks. If you read the posts of Spurs fans on social media, it's fire Brian Wright, F Brian Wright, left and right. What are you thinking? When he's going to leave? But we're supposed to talk with either Brian Wright or Castle in about 5 minutes ish. And, hopefully I can come back and tell you what they talked about. But nevertheless, would you say kind of a expected draft for the Spurs? What do you think, Derek?
Oh, I wanted Rob Dillingham myself, Jeff. So I'm like those fans who kind of left out a little upset. I like
fans were upset. Yeah,
I wanted Rob Dillingham, man. I had talked to Rudy about him for the last month or two. I just like Dillingham, but I mean the Spurs saw something that we didn't see, I guess. So I'm just going to support them and hope it pans out.
And I think what they saw is just a big guard. They saw a guy that plays defense on the perimeter. And, Castle spoke at the NBA Draft Media Day. And he told everybody, my shot is fine. It's fine. It's fine. It doesn't need to be broken down. It just needs some fine tuning. So he believes in his shot, and good for him. I mean, that's what he's supposed to think. But, I mean, can you say that Castle is the point guard of the rebuild now? I'm not going up there.
Hey, Jeff, tell me this. Do you think I thought that Castle fit Minnesota more so than Dillingham, and I thought Dillingham fit the Spurs and Wembanyama's style of play.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'm with you there, but Castle was their guy. I mean, you look at that reports, his workout with the team was phenomenal. It was good, flying colors, all that good stuff. So I was not surprised that Castle was selected. However, for the number 8 pick, and I think it was Rudy. He was on Locked On Spurs with me. But I know I said this on Ken's 5 TV. I said, don't be surprised if the Spurs trade away 8, and it happened. So here we are. We got a point guard. So, hey, they're talking about the Spurs, and they're building piece by piece. Well, they're taking their time, aren't they? We got a point guard, and we stopped. We'll continue now evaluating talent. Rudy, unless you think this is a move for a bigger move down the line.
Could be. I mean, it could be. Again, everybody's shooting for that 2025 draft and the 2025 free agent class. I mean, that summer is going to be massive. So it probably is just a move. I mean, you're trading away Rob Dillingham. You're really not getting anything in return. So you're not having that contract on your books. So that does stay free. That does keep money free because it is a top 10 pick, which means money's there. Cooper Flag. Right? Hey, Jeff, I appreciate you coming on, man. I know you got more work to do there, but if we can get you back on after you talk to Brian Wright later on, maybe in the post-game show, just definitely let me know. Maybe you can hear me, Jeff.
I'm having some tech issues here, but I appreciate it, guys. I'm gonna go back inside the war room.
All right, buddy. Take care. Bye-bye. Yeah, that was Jeff Garcia of Locked On Spurs giving us some insight on the war room. I mean, people walking out of the Rocket,
I mean, I don't know, man. It's a Wednesday night. Maybe it's just late.
Isn't there ladies' night somewhere? All the ladies are going. All the men are traveling with them there. But we got to catch everybody up, man. I mentioned this guy as a possibility for Oklahoma City. I guess the fortune teller is true. They went ahead and went with Nikola Topic, 6'6" guard out of Serbia. And again, I think probably when healthy, the best point guard in this draft. Easily, Oklahoma City has time to wait. They can wait for him to get, recover from his ACL injuries. I know he's had a couple of them in the same knee, but I think they have enough time. It's a really good pick for Oklahoma City. Ben, just a rundown on Oklahoma City real quick, man.
Well, it's funny. I've already seen people making the joke that OKC traded a good passer and a bad shooter for another good passer and a bad shooter.
Giddy, thank you, sir. The exact same player. Okay.
They got Giddy, but what, 2 or 3 years younger? So, but this was a guy who was probably a top 5 pick if he didn't have the ACL injury. And it should be noted he's had 2 pretty serious knee injuries in his season. I'm sure that raised a lot of red flags, and that's one of the reasons he's not in the top 10. But he also has to be a better shooter. He is a fantastic finisher, though. He finds very creative ways to finish when a guy is looking like he's about to block him, when he can't even see the rim. It's that part of his game is fantastic, but the shooting has to be better. He's a pretty solid shot creator for others. Maybe not as much himself, but he's a solid driver too. But again, we have to see what he looks like when he comes back from the ACL injury.
Yeah. Hey, Gio, for Nikola Topic to Oklahoma City. And then when you get done here, we've got Sacramento's picking. They actually made their pick, so we'll get to them here in just a second, man. But what do you got on Nikola Topic for Oklahoma City?
I thought it was a good pick. I mean, look, 2 severe injuries. You know, he's 18 years old, so he's obviously young, and sometimes, your fortune can change. And we've seen in the past where some players, right, they get hurt for a little bit, and then surprisingly they're particularly healthy throughout their career. So definitely a red flag there. But listen, he's a finisher. He can get to the basket. He can do a lot of things there. Obviously, shot-wise, has to improve. But for an Oklahoma City team, Rudy, that is, I believe, there. This is another project pick, and who knows, the next few years, he could be a star there. But I thought a really good pickup for a team that was just 2 games away from the Western Conference Finals. So just adding more to their arsenal.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, Nikola Topic, I felt, was probably the best point guard in this draft. Of course, the injuries are a major concern, but Oklahoma City, man, like I said, the rich just keep getting richer. I mean, number 1 seed last year in the West, has a lottery pick this season. Sam Presti still has a plethora of picks and a lot of capital to make some more moves for Oklahoma City. But nonetheless, the Sacramento Kings were on the clock. They ended up making their pick. I'm going to get Ben's thoughts on this pick for the Sacramento Kings, as well as Derek Irvin's here. They went ahead and went with Devin Carter out of Providence. This is a guy that's been on the rise for a while there. I actually really like this pick for Sacramento. 6'2", 193 pounds, 6'8" wingspan, 19.1 points per game. Lockdown defender, man. One of the better defenders in this draft. Can finish at the rim. He's a great rebounder for a guard. The only thing is he's got a real slow release on his shooting, and that's something, like I said, shooting in the NBA can definitely be corrected. Ben, you've got Devin Carter, guard out of Providence, heading to Sacramento.
I like the pick. I don't know if I like it for Sacramento. I mean, you're talking about a team, it looks like they're going to re-sign Malik Monk. They have De'Aaron Fox. They have Davion Mitchell, who they like, who's also a great defender, by the way. So I don't know where he's going to see playing time unless he really outplays Davion Mitchell. I'm not sure he does. But, I mean, again, I like him as a defender. The shooting is good, but it needs to, like you said, the release has to get quicker. He's incredibly active for just on the floor in general, on defense, for a guard. But I just don't know if I see a fit with the Kings here is my issue.
Yeah, that's the head scratcher definitely involved. Derek, you go with Devin Carter here for Providence.
Oh, boy.
I mean, it's not a bad pick. It's just not a pick that kind of makes a lot of sense like that.
It's a head scratcher for me, too, because he's kind of similar to Davion Mitchell. And I don't know what they're going to do as far as having the 2 guys are exact same, but I don't know if they bring him in for insurance because, De'Aaron Fox is not signing his deal until he sees what this roster looks like. So it could be insurance for him, but I still think if De'Aaron leaves, Devin Carter is not the answer. I think he's going to be a really good player throughout in the NBA, but it's a head scratcher when you already have Fox and you have Mitchell. I'm like Ben. I don't understand it, but they must know something we don't. Maybe they're going to use him in the trade.
I think a lot of these picks already in the first part of the draft. I mean, it kind of feels kind of what you just mentioned is that it feels like some of these picks are going to be used as trade pieces. Seeing a couple of guys, Ron Holland obviously is one guy we talked about earlier being drafted. He probably is going to be part of the trade. We saw Rob Dillingham at 8. He's getting dealt to Minnesota. Some of these picks that you're seeing, I think, are probably going to be trade pieces. Devin Carter could be one. Again, De'Aaron Fox not signing his contract. I mean, there was a minor rumbling that the possibility of De'Aaron Fox being moved is another, something to be talked about as well. It's outside the realm, but again, it's the NBA. Business is business. If you're feeling like you're going to lose a player for nothing, you may as well try to trade him and get something for that player while you still have him. I mean, that's.
Hey, Rudy, can I say something without getting you guys in trouble?
Yeah, I don't mind that.
Castle's going to be a guy they're going to be bringing off the bench in 2025-26 because you know who's going to be playing here in 2025-26? De'Aaron Fox.
Yeah, I could definitely see.
I just want you to remember this guy. You guys remember I said that.
I wouldn't hate it.
Can we bookmark
his wife is from San Antonio,
yeah.
Reese Caldwell. Her dad did a lot in San Antonio, Ray Caldwell. And he also just has 3 young ladies, 2 from San Antonio and 1 from Dallas, come down to his basketball camp. The De'Aaron Fox, he flew them in. So just remember, I said next 2025-26, De'Aaron Fox will be a San Antonio Spur.
So
Derek Irvin calling his shot.
We got it live on stream. It's going to be played. It's going to be played left and right, man. Portland is making their pick. That pick is in for Portland. This is kind of when we get into the for sure Ben Bornstein type of the draft here, because I've seen some of these guys. I haven't seen a lot of them, but Bub Carrington out of Pittsburgh, guard, 6'3", 6'8" wingspan, 13.8 points per game, shot 32% from 3-point range. About 4 assists a game, 5 rebounds a game. His mid-range game is going to be money in the NBA. I think that's where he's going to make, where he's going to secure the bags with his mid-range game. He can make his shot selection is just crazy. You can see it on Pittsburgh's frame there, but really on the small side for 6'3", he needs to bulk up a little bit. Does rely on jumpers, a lot as well. Struggles to get off the 3 as well and the catch and shoot. But Bub Carrington being drafted to Portland, not a bad pick, but I think it's still a pick that, again, maybe moved with the guards that they already have there.
Yeah, I was just going to say another weird fit with all the guards they have. Potentially a long-term play, a project play for them. He does have the upside. Like you said, he has to get a little stronger. He doesn't really get to the rim all that well. The mid-range is great. The three-point shooting, he has to improve a bit. And I think, like you've got down here, he's got to do it. He's got to be better off the catch because right now it doesn't look like he would probably be the guy initiating a lot of the offense, and he would be a little undersized if he's playing at the 2. So he's got to get a little bigger, weight-wise, and work on the 3. I think he'll be fine, but Portland's got to be doing something about some of these guys they've picked. But I believe this was proposed in the trade to the Wizards, so he would be going to Washington anyway. Is that correct?
So Washington they sent Denny and the 14th pick. So no, I mean,
they sent Denny. Okay, yeah, I couldn't remember who sent it. Okay.
Yeah, they sent Denny and the 14th pick, so technically he's going to be a part of the Portland Trailblazers. But again, kind of a crowded backfield. Like I said, you got Scoot Henderson, Anthony Simons. Who else is there? Shaedon Sharpe is there. Chris Murray is there as well. So I mean, you've got a lot of backcourt already in Portland. it's kind of a head scratcher. Is he a part of a piece? Could we maybe see Jeremy Grant on the move possibly? Maybe Bub Carrington is going to be there. I don't see it. But let's not forget, I mean, they ended up getting Klingon. So could he be a part of a DeAndre Ayton trade that might be in the works? So that could possibly be coming. Gio, Bub Carrington to Portland here kind of has the feeling that it might be a trade piece. DeAndre Ayton might be on the move now, but what are you thinking on Bub Carrington with Portland, man?
Well, I did talk about Aiden earlier, where I could see a scenario which they would trade. So Bub, it definitely feels like a potential trade. I do want to add, Rudy, that Kings pick. I thought maybe going Tristan Da Silva from Colorado would have been a better maybe fit there, as they have too many guards. But Bub does look like a potential trade here. But this is the beauty of the NBA draft. Trades, not so much in the NFL draft, but the NBA, you hear today, gone tomorrow. So, we'll see.
Yeah, we are definitely going to see. We've got the Miami Heat on the clock. I think the pick is in. It should be in. They're already done with the clock. We're going to take a quick commercial break here. When we come back, Miami 76ers on the clock. Dalton Connect to Philadelphia. I just looked at that and I thought, man, could that really, really be happening for Philadelphia? Who knows? We'll find out when we get back here. Sweep the League. Derek Irvin, Coach Gio, Ben Bornstein, Rudy Campos Jr. We'll be back from this quick commercial break. Living in South Texas, we all love to eat, especially tacos. Oh boy, La Cocina Taco Truck should be your only stop every time. They are just a short drive away, located at 283 West San Antonio Street in New Braunfels, Texas. There is no order too big or small for the staff to handle. Whether it's the ever so popular street tacos all the way to the amazing quesadillas, La Cocina will satisfy your appetite, guaranteed. Head over to see them at 283 West San Antonio Street in New Braunfels, Texas. Make that short drive so you can be satisfied at La Cocina Taco Truck. Proud sponsors of Sweep the League. A family is just like your home. It starts with a great foundation. MCS General Contracting can make sure your foundation is off to a perfect start. Whether you're wanting to build a pool, expand a patio, or build a driveway, MCS General Contracting should be your only call. They provide top-notch customer service and will stand by their work 100% of the time. Why trust the rest when you can just call the best? Build the best foundation now for your home and your family, because a good foundation is the perfect start to a happy life. Contact MCS General Contracting today at 210-774-9155. Proud sponsors of Sweep the League.
Digital rich. Digital rich.
Yeah, welcome back to the first round coverage of the 2024 NBA Draft. Sweep the League is with you all night. We will do a little post-draft show as well, kind of go over some of the picks there. It won't be a very long show, it'll be a very short one. It's Coach Gio, it's Derek Irvin, it's our special guest, Ben Bornstein. We were joined by Jeff Garcia, who was letting us know how it's going on in the war room for the San Antonio Spurs. Apparently, Spurs fans hated the fact that Rob Dillingham was drafted at 8 and moved. Apparently, everybody at the Rock decided to pack their stuff up and go home after that move was announced. So sorry, Spurs fans. It just tends to happen like that sometimes. But nonetheless, Manu Ginobili's twins should be available in 2030. So there's always a good thing to think about, right? I mean, that's a good possibility. Right now, man, we've got Miami on the clock here. They could go big, man, I think is what we're going to end up seeing them going. Bam Adebayo, obviously don't want to make him the main focus there. Jaime Jaquez there. I remember, man, when Jaime was drafted, I was getting my exercise in, Ben, and I called Derek right away when he got drafted, and I said, this kid's going to be special. This kid's going to be good in Miami. Sure enough, they got a very special pick there.
Hey, Rudy, can I say something quickly before you announce this pick? How come none of you guys said that Carrington kind of remind y'all a little bit of another C.J. McCollum potentially?
I'll leave that for Ben because I saw very little of Carrington.
I think for me, I don't think of CJ
I said
McCollum.
potentially, Ben.
Key phrasing. I don't see it right now only because I think CJ McCollum was a much better shooter in college, and part of it is CJ McCollum. I think he stayed at Lehigh for 3 years, and when you're the 14 seed in the NCAA tournament and you take down the 3 seed Duke, I think that was the seeding. I know they took down Duke. You get remembered. Pittsburgh is not that. And I think really for me it was Carrington's shooting, and he wasn't as good a shooter coming out. And although I will say he was a guy who was very much unheralded for the most part coming out of high school. I think he was a top 75 recruit, but a lot of people weren't really sure how good he would be. And he goes to Pittsburgh, and as the season moves, he kind of shoots up boards and he starts becoming a real threat to be a lottery pick. And we saw that tonight. So,
don't you think he's a decent mid-range player though? He doesn't have the range. And that's what I'm saying about CJ as far as the mid-range game.
I mean, maybe some Rip Hamilton. Means that.
Yeah, he definitely is going to make his bag off the mid-range game. But Carrington, I do know that much about him. I mean, he just kills it on the mid-range, which is his bread and butter right there. Portland did make their pick. Miami made their pick. They got a guy to run right next to Bam, Derek, just like you were calling, Khalil Ware, center out of Indiana. Not a bad pickup here for him. I kind of like Khalil Ware. I thought maybe they would go with Misi out of Baylor, but at 6'11", 7'4" wingspan, 15.9 points per game, average 1.9, almost 2 blocks a game, 9.9 boards a game. Shot blocker is really, really good. He catches a lot of stuff around the rim. His basketball IQ for me is the biggest Riddler question mark above my head. He tends to get a little bit sloppy, and I think that's where Miami's going to have to coach him up a little bit better on. Ben, for Khalil Ware out of Indiana.
So you mentioned probably one of the two big things with him: the basketball IQ and his motor. He struggled to get minutes at Oregon because he didn't play hard enough for Coach Dana Altman. And that's one of the reasons he transferred to Indiana. That, and I think Indiana was going to, Coach Mike Woodson was going to be much nicer to him, frankly, because he was such a big recruit for them. He can step out, he can shoot it a little bit. Like you see there, the stats suggest he can be a good defender, a good rebounder. I think for him, he has to want it. And hopefully playing next to Bam Adebayo, who, by the way, is planning on signing an extension with Miami, will hopefully help him. He's got to want it more often.
Yeah, that's the thing. His motor was always in question. And, it's like I said, the IQ for him on basketball it's a head scratcher there. Gio, for Khalil Ware out of Indiana, I mean, it does free up Bam Adebayo to kind of play at the 4 spot. I don't expect Ware to be the starting 5 right away, though. But again, another project, and that's the key thing is all these guys are going to be project picks coming up.
Project picks. I did watch him a little bit here in Indiana, where I live. And effort. Where's the effort? I mean, you get to this league, right, Derek, the NBA, if they're questioning your effort, right, your focus, is not a good look. But he goes to Miami, and we know how Spo is over there. He's a no-nonsense coach. Hopefully in that atmosphere, he kind of learns the game at a higher level. And obviously Bam Adebayo is going to be there for the long haul. But, yeah, the effort, watching some of those games this year, it's like, dude, what are you doing? It's just the effort's not there, the commitment. And if you can't have that in the NBA, you're not going to last very long.
Yeah, you're not. And that's the tough part. Derek, coming into the league as a young guy, I mean, you've got to understand the effort's got to be there. You've got to be focused. The IQ's got to be at that level. Do you feel Spoelstra will be able to get to where and get him to where he needs to be, no pun intended, get him where he needs to be with the Miami Heat there?
I do, because sometimes it's like people you eat McDonald's and then you eat a better burger. You're only familiar with McDonald's until you're in a different place, I'll say. And when you're dealing with Pat Riley and Eric Spoelstra, there's no way you suit up for the Miami Heat unless you have toughness.
Yeah.
So he's going to learn. He's going to be in the fire. I mean, they still have Thomas Bryant, I believe, on the roster right now. So he's going to be around some guys that are going to teach him about being tough. And I just think Pat Riley, I'm all in on Pat Riley and Eric Spoelstra. And I think they've looked at this young man. They did their due diligence. And I think they wouldn't even take a chance on him if they didn't see a bright spot. And I see him as being a bright spot. And he can shoot the 15-footer. I think just being around those guys on a daily basis and practicing them with them, I think, yeah, he's going to be a really good player. And we know he's come out of Indiana, so he knows how to play basketball. Yeah, I believe in him. Yes.
Yeah, so it could be a good fit there. I think he's going, we talk about the motor, we talk about the focus. I mean, there's probably no better situation or scenario than Miami with Spoelstra and Pat Riley. That's no doubt in my mind there.
You're really correct. And Bam Adebayo, one thing about him, Rudy, every time I watch him play, it's just the effort, just the loose balls, the going after things, just those effort plays that I see Bam do, and that translate, I think potentially could have a really good player.
Yeah, it might be a perfect spot for him. Like we said, Khalil Ware. We got some guys out there, probably the best available as of right now. Dalton Connect out of Tennessee is still there. You got Jacoby.
What's going on, man?
Baylor.
And the Spurs should trade their 2031 pick to go get him.
Rudy, I don't mean to cut you off. Ben, what's going on, man? Have you heard, what have you heard behind the scenes? Why is Dalton Connect still out there?
Because people are haters. That's all I got. I mean, this is a kid I thought was going to be a lottery pick, no question. I thought it was going to be
Yeah.
I maybe it's the age. I think he's 22 or 23, and maybe the age is scaring people off. I don't have a good answer for you, Derek. I wish I did.
Does he remind you of Cam Whitmore last year? Because I had Cam Whitmore top 5.
Yeah.
Well, Cam Whitmore fell because I think of the injury. He had an injury.
Yeah, but he was originally top 5, and so is this something we might not be hearing behind the scenes? Because I don't understand how this guy can still be on the board.
I agree, and I think the worst part is if Philadelphia gets him,
that's where I'm looking.
Livid. I'm going to be livid. They do not. Philadelphia does not deserve to pick Dalton Connect. He is too good a player to go to them.
I agree.
It infuriates me. He
no
deserves.
offense, Tobias. I love you, and Kelly. I love both of you guys, but man, I'm with you.
Could we see the Lakers if Dalton? Could we see the Lakers, a team now with a new coach, probably going to be analytics? He can shoot the 3, and that team needs shooters. So,
oh my goodness.
He's getting, the teams coming up now are teams that you don't want to see Dalton on a lot of because it's like, what are we doing here, man? I mean, this is crazy, but Pick is in for Philadelphia right now, and it pains me to say this because I do not like this school for everybody that knows out there, but nonetheless, Philadelphia has gone with Jared McCain, guard out of Duke, 6'2", 20 years old, 6'3" wingspan, 14.3 points a game, 5 rebounds a game. Good rebounder for a guard, 1.9 assists. Did shoot the ball pretty well, almost 42% from 3-point range. He doesn't have a very quick first step. He is a bit undersized there, but a very hard-nosed defender. He can he launches jumpers off the dribble, as it states there, methodical ball handler. Jared McCain, unless you really watched a lot of ACC, because the ACC was pretty down this year, Ben, in my opinion. It was a very down year. Didn't really watch a whole lot of ACC. Give us a rundown on Jared McCain, who's now a Philadelphia 76er and pissing a lot of SEC people off.
That seems right. I think, first of all, in regard to Dalton Connect, if he falls to Orlando, I would actually be ecstatic about that because he is exactly the kind of player that they need.
They don't have to get Klay Thompson.
Yeah, I would love that for them. But with Jared McCain, I thought he was a guy who really played beyond his years. I thought he played very smart basketball at Duke. I think some of that is a reflection of his coach. His coach played point guard for a legendary coach in Coach K. So I think I think he played very maturely. I don't know. I think his 3-point shooting is obviously very good here. I think that was also on fairly low volume, but it shows that the potential is there. He can space out the floor for you. He's not a guy who's just going to be able to drive and try and kick out and find people. But like you've got here, I couldn't emphasize, I can't stress that last pro enough. Methodical ball handler, knows how to use the pace, the angles, contact. He generates space for himself. He got a lot of and ones because he kind of slowed down and then accelerated, or he would accelerate and slow down suddenly. He knows how to change the gears really well, and he knows how to manipulate his defender pretty well. So I think Philadelphia can be excited about that. And I think if they feel comfortable with him starting, they could potentially move James Harden off ball and make him the 2, and Jared McCain can run your offense for you.
Yeah, so McCain, the thing with McCain too, it's also almost like a Kyle Lowry, maybe safety net type of pick too. I mean, if Kyle Lowry should be back in Philly, I think they're going to end up re-signing him in Philadelphia along with Tyrese Maxey. They're both restricted free agents, but he has an opportunity to learn and develop his game behind Kyle Lowry. Gio, you're a Duke guy, and that's like one of the reasons why we are 99.9% best friends. I have that 0.1 still lingering over you because you're a Duke guy, but Jared McCain out of Duke going to Philadelphia, man.
I mean, look, he can shoot the 3. I mean, it's a big thing in today's game, as I've been stressing in this draft. 41%, Rudy. I know you're not a Duke fan, but you got to admit that's pretty good, right? He paces very well, as Ben stated. And, it's going to give the ability there with the 76ers to obviously not have Harden always having to be that guy who facilitates. I think it's a really good pickup for a Sixer team. I would have probably could definitely see Dalton go here, but a good pick for them. A Duke team that honestly I didn't see a whole lot of bright spots, but he played well last season, and I think they're getting a really good player.
Derek, Jared McCain out of Duke going to Philadelphia. I mean, it's not a sexy pick, but it does kind of make a little sense for them there.
Hey, I like the move because he's an insurance for Kyle Lowry. And then he kind of reminds me of the same role that Shake Milton played. If you need him to score or if you need him to distribute. And that's kind of who he reminds me of. So I think it's a good move. And I'm proud of this young man. I think he's going to be a really good player.
And Rudy, for what it's worth, yeah. I was thinking of someone else when I was saying a low volume of 3-point shooting. He averaged almost 6 threes, 3 attempts a game. So definitely on good volume.
And it's going to help that he has a player like Joel Embiid there. I mean, Joel's going to have the defense collapse. There's going to be a lot of spacing. So he should get quite a few 3-point looks at Philadelphia. So great pick by the 76ers. I guess I have to talk nice about Duke players. I mean, there's going to be a couple going in this draft. Hopefully all in the second round from here on out. So I don't have to keep mentioning that one school that starts with the D and ends in a ook. So we have the Los Angeles Lakers. Now everybody in the entire world is saying LeBron James is a free agent. They went and got JJ Redick, was the biggest joke in the offseason. I went on my rant on the show for that. But JJ Redick's first draft, obviously, I'm going to say right now, if they take Bronny James, just sell the entire organization, fire everybody. This is no reason to do that. You don't draft him here because you want to protect LeBron and bring him back, nonetheless like that. But Gio made mention, Dalton Connect right here is still into play. They need shooters. What else do the Lakers need? I mean, there's a lot that they can use in this position. Ben's throwing his hands up. I hope Ben does not know what's going on, but if he does, he's going to let us know in probably just a little bit. Guys, the pick's being made right now. So
the pick is in.
The pick is in. Let's get this pick here before we actually go around the horn and get Ben's thoughts on this right here. I hope it's not Bronny, man. You got to be kidding me if it's Bronny James.
No, they're not that crazy.
Well, I don't know. They hired JJ Redick, so I mean, they are pretty damn crazy. Nonetheless,
when you have the opportunity to draft a guy who's coached 4th grade boys basketball, you have to do it.
Oh, 100%. 100%. I should be throwing my name in there for being a coach of the Spurs-free, drug-free league, man. I could definitely be that. Los Angeles Lakers are taking Dalton Connect, and again, they don't deserve it. He should have gone to Orlando a pick later.
Oh, wow.
No,
So great.
no Laker.
It's a
hating.
no-brainer, honestly. I mean, it just makes sense for the
You're
Lakers.
a draft.
No, it does. That doesn't mean we have to like it, Gio.
No, I know. No, I know.
You know what, Ben? I'm gonna rewind this a little bit, and don't get me wrong. He hasn't really shown it as a lottery pick, just deserving of a lottery pick. But this has the same feel of when Malachi Branham was drafted. He should have been a lot higher draft pick the year the Spurs got him coming out of Ohio State. But this has that same feel, and I'm gonna give all the credit to the front office on this pick. It was an obvious pick. It was probably as obvious as Victor Wembanyama being drafted last year at number 1. So Dalton Connect as a Los Angeles Laker. Break down Connect's game for the Lakers because this should definitely make AD and Bron smile a little bit.
No question. I mean, this is a guy who can go out and get his own shot. And even when he doesn't have the ball in his hands, he's moving well off the ball. Sort of Ray Allen in that regard, in that he's using screens, he's running around, he's making his defender work. He can take some guys off the dribble, get to the rim. I mean, he does anything you want from him on offense for the most part. With him, the issue is defense. He's like you've got here. I mean, he's targeted by opponents because he's usually the weakest guy on defense. And, for Tennessee, that was fine because they had a bunch of other guys who were really good defenders and they could pick up the slack there. But at the NBA level, that's not always the case. So he's going to have to prove that he can defend at an NBA level, at least be serviceable in that regard.
Yeah, it would have made sense for him to go to a team with a dominant big man. I don't know. San Antonio has a dominant big man that can defend and other teams like that. But Derek, before we get to Gio, your boy Dalton Connect is a Los Angeles Laker. Is he going to be used right in LA, man?
I hope so because I think his talent is off the charts. I only had one problem with him. Well, it's not even a problem. It's a question mark. I saw him when he played during college. He had a tendency, and it could be because they weren't winning at the level he expected, but he got a little frustrated. So to me, his biggest issue is going to be up here. If he can master the mental side of this game, I think the ceiling is his sky. I mean, man, hey, unlimited potential, but he cannot be his worst enemy. And if things don't go well, because remember, you got a new coach coming in as well. So this is something that's new to JJ. And just like it will be to Dalton, if he can come in and he can master the mental side, I think that this is one of the best moves of the entire draft, even though I'm not a Laker fan.
Yeah, it's a great move for the Los Angeles Lakers. Gio, Dalton Connect, SEC Player of the Year. Going to LA, I mean, for the bad move that they made on the bench, they actually made up for it by drafting a hell of a player.
The dark side gets a player. So how did this guy fall all the way down? I have no idea. The Spurs had an opportunity. They didn't go. But this is a big move for the Lakers. The guy obviously can shoot the three. We talk about defense. I do feel like maybe, listen, he gets in the NBA. He tightens that up a bit. He's probably never going to be a great elite defender, but serviceable. But, man, can shoot his own shot, create, do all these things, move around without the basketball. I mean, what else more do the Lakers there was no way they were going to select Bronny James over this guy. And if it did, somebody needs to be fired tomorrow, Derek. Tomorrow, someone should have been fired.
Yeah, Dalton Connect, I mean, again, lottery type player. In fact, we're not even saying lottery. He was being talked about as high as 4 or 5. I mean, there was a point there, but definitely top 10 type of player. And he went to the Lakers here. At 17, Los Angeles got themselves a hell of a player, no doubt in our minds. Orlando's on the clock there. Yes, sir.
They might see what I saw about the mental side. That's the only thing I can think of.
Could be. But was it enough to have him drop all the way to 17? That's
yeah, because teams want to be able to depend on you for 4 years. Yeah, they don't want to be dealing with the up and down attitudes. And there's a lot of guys today, there's a lot of whining and all that going on. Yeah, it could affect your draft position.
Yeah, you know what's something effective on this one, man? This next pick by Orlando, holy cow. If I had to be excited for a pick, it's this pick right here. Orlando definitely needed shooting. And guess what? they got a shooter. Tristan Da Silva, forward out of Colorado, 6'8", 39.5% from 3-point range. It says the number one thing on the pro side for his pros and cons, effortless spot-up three-point shooter. You're talking about a team in Orlando that's tied into Klay Thompson right now. But you know what? You don't have to go get a Klay Thompson anymore because you got Tristan Da Silva. I really love this kid. You saw a lot of his potential, especially during March Madness at Colorado. Loved it. He's a competitive defender, like it says. He needs to be a better rebounder for his height at 6'8", but in Orlando, when you have Wagner and you have Paolo Banchero, you can kind of let it go a little bit there. Doesn't have a whole lot of explosiveness, but shooting is the focal point of Da Silva. Ben, break down Tristan Da Silva for Orlando.
Great fit, I think. Like you said, they need shooting. They have to space the floor for Wagner and Paolo Banchero, and Tristan Da Silva can give them that. They probably would have really liked to have Connect because I think they really wanted more of a guard with shooting, but they will take shooting where they can get it. So I think it's a really nice pick for them. And I think the Magic may struggle to rebound the ball as a whole because they have a few guys who, like Da Silva, not super explosive, not super athletic. Mm-hmm. So who's gobbling up all the rebounds? I mean, they have guards who are pretty athletic who are kind of grabbing rebounds. You know, Fultz does a pretty decent job. Cole Anthony, very explosive guy, and frankly, a phenomenal social follow. If you want to follow him on Instagram or whatever, he appears on the Magic socials all the time. He's hilarious. I think he's one of the best locker room guys in the league right now. He's awesome. Tristan Da Silva, again, great pick, shooting what they need. I think the defensive end for him, for the Magic, is great because I think they have some guys who are very not switchable. They need more of the switchable guys. And I think it potentially makes some of their bigs expendable. I think if Tristan Da Silva ends up being a really good defender and like wildly switchable, he could make potentially Jonathan Isaac expendable, or maybe a Wendell Carter Jr. Not to say that they should trade them immediately. From what I've heard and read, a lot of Magic fans are not huge fans of WCJ, which is totally baffling to me because I think he's a very good player and I think he's underrated, if anything. So, I think with this kind of pick, people are going to say, "Oh, they should trade him away." I don't think that's the case, but Da Silva, pretty nice player. I think he could get minutes this year.
Oh, I think he definitely get minutes this year. Gio, for Tristan Da Silva out of Colorado, they needed shooting. They got shooting in Tristan.
They got to shooting. Rudy, I mentioned earlier, I thought the Kings should go the Silva out there. Instead, they go with another guard. But no, for the Magic team, a team that's been building, right? Building the culture. They've been chomping at the bit. And, obviously last year made the postseason. I think this is another added piece to the puzzle. He can shoot the ball. Look, being super athletic and being explosive, sure, you want that. But I don't think it's a big issue, especially with the talent that they already have on that roster already. I think he's going to fit very, very nice with a team that is on the come up.
Yeah, Orlando's definitely getting one. Derek, I'm going to get your take here on Tristan Da Silva. We're going to take a quick commercial break real quick. When we get back, we'll get Derek's take on the Tristan Da Silva pick for Orlando. Love the pick as well. Plus, Toronto is on the clock. This is Sweep the League, bringing you the 2024 NBA Draft, all the first round. We're with you till the end. Give us 1 second. We'll be right back, guys. A family is just like your home. It starts with a great foundation. MCS General Contracting can make sure your foundation is off to a perfect start. Whether you're wanting to build a pool, expand a patio, or build a driveway, MCS General Contracting should be your only call. They provide top-notch customer service and will stand by their work 100% of the time. Why trust the rest when you can just call the best? Build the best foundation now for your home and your family, because a good foundation is the perfect start to a happy life. Contact MCS General Contracting today at 210-774-9155. Proud sponsors of Sweep the League.
Hey, Hey, this is George Iceman Gervin, and you're listening to Sweet Philly Radio.
All right, guys, welcome back to Sweep the League, bringing you the first round of the NBA draft here, 2024. Tristan Del Silva is in Orlando Magic. Derek, Toronto's on the clock right now, but give me your thoughts on Tristan Del Silva, because coming into the offseason, Orlando needed shooting, and they were going after Klay Thompson. I think Tristan Del Silva solves that whole issue right there.
It'll take me no time. They have just acquired a faster, tougher, a little more athletic Michael Porter Jr. is what he becomes for the Orlando Magic. I'll leave it at that. They just acquired a Michael Porter Jr. for their organization.
Maybe one who passes a little more often.
Oh, yeah. I said more athletic and all that. He has a little better skill set than Michael.
Yeah, I mean, we see how good Porter is with Denver. And I think Tristan Del Silva is weird, because if not for what Cody Williams and KJ is there as well, I mean, he probably would have gone a lot higher in the draft. Is that kind of a fair statement to make? I mean,
it would have, without those two guys there, it would have forced him to be more of the focal point of the offense for Colorado. And you could certainly argue he would have had a much larger starring role. I don't know if that bumps him in the draft, though.
Yeah, it's for me, he's one of those guys that I think was overlooked in a sense of, it's a weak draft regardless, but I think he's one of those guys that was overlooked. And we always talk about role players. He goes into the perfect spot because you've got two guys in Wagner and Banchero there. Those are the two primary guys. Markelle Fultz is definitely playing at a whole nother level since he was drafted. Del Silva makes a whole lot of sense right there for the Orlando Magic. Loving that pick. Toronto's on the clock. The pick is actually in. And again, this is kind of where we get to the part of the draft here. This is pick number 19. We're going to be with you all the way till pick number 30 here. So we're coming up towards the end here. And Orlando being on the clock, they end up taking, it is Jacoby Walter out of Baylor. And it's a shooting guard, so we're going to get Ben's thoughts on there. And we have a big task at hands in here, but the New York Knicks. Yeah, the New York Knicks are coming up here, 24 and 25. I'm kind of curious to see what they do, because New York's building something in the East right there to compete with Boston. But as of right now, Jacoby Walter, guard out of Baylor, 6'4", 6'10" wingspan. Shot pretty decent, 34% for three-point range. He's a dynamic perimeter shooter, basically off screens and handoffs. He's he's a good off-the-ball defender, long-arm defender. Not much of a playmaker in that sense. Ben, Jacoby Walter out of Baylor.
It's funny. He actually reminds me of another Baylor guard from last year in Keontae George. Keontae George came out of Baylor. He went to Baylor known as a shooter, didn't have a great shooting season, but has turned out to be exactly the shooter we thought he was. He just had kind of a down year at Baylor because I don't know why he had a down year at Baylor, but I think part of it was because he was taking a lot more shots than he probably should have been. He was the focal point of that offense. And I think Jacoby Walter had a similar season. He still shot 34% from three, which is decent, but I think he could be an even better shooter at the next level. Have now that he's going to be with NBA professional basketball players, and his teammates will be much better. Yeah. He won't have to work as hard for his shots. He won't have to do as much. So I think that will greatly benefit him.
Yeah, Derek, Jacoby Walter out of Baylor for shooting guard there. The numbers don't really, scream, immediate, impact or anything for Toronto. But again, a lot of these guys are in that project stage. They're going to be project type players, but the defense is what I'm going to look at for Jacoby Walter for Toronto. Obviously they signed Scotty Barnes is there. He's good. I think he got a big contract extension there as well. So Jacoby Walter for Baylor, Derek.
I like the move. He'll be the best shooter they had since Fred VanVleet. So I think it's a good move. I think they're going to not be in a hurry with this young man. They're not going to push him. He'll get a chance to learn. but I think he has a very high ceiling. I think he's going to be a really good addition in Toronto, and I think the people in Canada are going to love him. He's only going to continue. He might start off struggling a little bit, but over the course of the season, I see him getting minutes this season, and I think it was a good move for Toronto.
Yeah, so I mean, you've got Emmanuel Quigley's there, Gary Trent. We mentioned Scotty Barnes, RJ Barrett. Toronto's built a pretty decent starting five. You know, does he get minutes ahead of Grady Dick? Probably. I don't think so. I think Grady's kind of going to get the same amount of minutes there. Bruce Brown is there as well. It's kind of be a hard fight for minutes for Jacoby Walter, but I do agree with you, Derek. I think he does get a little bit of run with the Raptors this season.
Bruce is going to be moving somewhere.
You got Bruce going from Toronto then. Okay.
I got Bruce probably going back to, if they can make it happen, Denver or somewhere. It might, but I don't think, if you look at their backcourt, it's kind of crowded in the backcourt. And I think they need this young man. You heard Ben talk about his shooting ability. And like I said, I think he's the best shooter since, Fred VanVleet been gone. So I think they're going to find minutes for him. It might be spot duty, but I can see him playing this year and contributing.
Yeah, I definitely can. Ben, do you think he can come in this season for the Raptors and be a contributor like right away?
I mean, I think it'll depend if they do end up moving a Bruce Brown or if they move anybody else. It'll be tough with how loaded that backcourt is. There's possibility. I think it's a hard path to see and a hard path to get there.
Yeah, I can agree to that. Great points by both Derek and Ben here. I really can agree to that. The Cleveland Cavaliers are actually on the clock right now. And I mean, we saw a emergence of, obviously they ended up getting Bickerstaff. They got rid of him. And I mean, he took them to the playoffs in back-to-back seasons. Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell. I mean, Evan Mobley's there. You got Jared Allen. Now we've heard talks about Jared Allen, rumblings that he may be gone from Cleveland in the offseason. We've heard a lot of rumblings of either Garland or Mitchell might be dealt away. I think if they had to deal one, it's probably going to be Darius Garland. So is this a case where maybe they go with another guard? I mean, you have Mitchell, which could probably run the point. I mean, does a guy like John Furphy from Kansas come into play right here for the Cleveland Cavaliers, considering they may be a guard down? Keyshawn George out of Miami is another one. Could they go big? I mean, Missy out of Baylor here. Flipowski is another big guy. Ben, I mean, there's so many ways the Cleveland Cavaliers can go in this route.
I mean, it's very tough because, like you said, they have a lot of moving parts they have to figure out. Mm-hmm. Is Jared Allen going to go? I mean, I think we saw reports that Donovan Mitchell's expected to re-sign. He's going to get his payday. Yeah. And now you're talking about, if Jared Allen leaves, sure, you got to go after a big. But if Donovan Mitchell's signing that huge contract, Darius Garland knows that means there's not a whole lot of money for him to have. So maybe he decides, well, I'm going to get out of here. So now they got to go find another guard. So it is really hard to say. I'd be inclined to say they're probably going to go guard just because knowing that Donovan Mitchell is getting his extension, Darius Garland is the most likely of those two to try and get out of there. So they're going to want to replace him.
So could we see like Isaiah Collier or Tyler Kolek right here, maybe for the Cleveland Cavaliers?
I don't know if Tyler Kolek is the guy. Isaiah Collier might still be a reach here. There's a few guys available to them, and actually I don't want to spoil anything. I'm seeing who they're going to pick. It is a guard. Mm-hmm. Maybe not the one you're thinking of, though.
Okay. Okay.
I won't ruin it. I'll let you announce it. But I don't know if it doesn't look like the telecast has done it, but Shams has declared it, so it must be true.
Oh, if Shams declares that it is true. Derek, with so many moving parts in Cleveland, man, I mean, we pretty much know that they're probably going to go guard here. I mean, the Cavaliers.
No, they're going guard.
Yeah, they are going guard. But the Cavs here
Garland,
is kind of like a...
Garland will not be there. He already stated that, or his agent. If Donovan Mitchell was going to stay, Darius Garland was not going to be there. He doesn't like the role that he's playing. He wants a bigger role. So it was no question for me they were going guard. And I'm not too familiar with Jalen Tyson, but I'm sure he's going to be one of those guys they're going to move in there because, Darius Garland's going to be on the move.
Yeah, Jalen Tyson, Adam Silver is making that pick right now for the Cleveland Cavaliers, and it will be Jalen Tyson, who is actually a guard forward out of California. They have him listed on the Ringer as a forward, but he's a guard, kind of a wing player for California, 6'5", 6'8" wingspan, 21 years old, 19.6 a game, 36% from 3-point range. He's very skilled in the post. There's a knockdown 3-point shooter, basically off the catch. Pretty good rebounder for a guard. He is a streaky jump shooter. He can get hot. He's got to get hot in order to keep that streak going there. The turnover part is a really big thing, but again, young player. I mean, 21, we say he's young. He's actually old for draft classes at 21, but nonetheless, he's got to improve on his turnovers as well. Ben, Jalen Tyson out of California.
So he's listed at 6'7", I think, on California's site. Again, the Ringer using the height of these guys without shoes on is mind-boggling to me, and I also happen to think a bit misleading.
6'5".
I mean, 2 inches is a big deal in the NBA.
6'5", man.
I mean, he's listed at 6'7" by California. He's a small forward, but he was basically playing point guard for Cal. He ran their offense for them. You could probably trust him to do that for the most part. Although, if you're Cleveland, you're going to have Donovan Mitchell do that most of the time, so it doesn't really matter. But if you want him running with the second unit and maybe practicing to be the point guard with the second unit, that is an option for you. He's very good at playing bully ball when he's got smaller defenders on him. He's got a pretty tight dribble when he's getting downhill and to the rim. I think he has to shore up the handles outside of that, but solid pick. I like that for Cleveland. I think they're getting some insurance, which is totally fine.
Yeah, Derek, we were talking about the guard forward position for California and Jalen Tyson. I mean, it's almost like we've been saying a couple of times earlier in the draft, it's almost a safe pick. It's a pick that just had to be made because of the uncertainty. You don't know if Garland's going to be there. We're saying that he's not going to be there because they're going to pretty much sign Donovan Mitchell. Then you got the Jared Allen case there. We don't know if he's going to be there. It makes sense to get Jalen Tyson there. Is he going to start right away? Probably not. I mean, he's not going to get a whole bunch of minutes in Cleveland.
But for him, I think it's a good move. And Ben, you can tell me if you agree, because one thing he brings that Cleveland has missed, and that's the last 2 years, has been toughness. We watched them basically get punked the previous year by the New York Knicks. And so I just don't think the Darius Garland and Mitchell thing has worked out. And I think this young man will be a great addition because of the toughness. And that's what they've been missing on the wing and in the backcourt. That's the main thing they've been missing. So I think it's a very good move.
And this is a kid who started at smaller schools. He transferred up twice. Mm-hmm. So he clearly wants the competition. He wants to be better. He wants to get better. So I think that bodes well for them as well as kind of intangible.
Jalen Tyson, the newest member of the Cleveland Cavaliers. And again, we got to just keep everybody recommending, these picks coming up in the far past of the draft. We're about, 9 picks away from being at the end of the first round. We're going to be with you all the way to the first round. And after that, I'll be back online as well. We'll do another live stream, just a quick post-draft show, get you guys, kind of acclimated, maybe give a couple of grades, maybe get you guys some second-round picks to look out for tomorrow as well. Coming up next, we have the Pelicans. And the Pelicans are another team, Derek, that I've kind of said a million times already. The Western Conference is going to kind of go through it's going to go through a change. It's going to be crazy. Brandon Ingram's one of those guys that I think is going to be on the move for New Orleans. And I think they might end up going with the big guy possibly here because there's so many pieces in New Orleans that probably are going to end up getting moved. Not necessarily a rebuild, but you're going to probably just start building around Zion and CJ McCollum. The pick is in for the New Orleans Pelicans. Let me get it for you guys right here. And actually, the pick is going to be Yves Missi out of Baylor. Very good pick. I feel for the New Orleans Pelicans here. Let's bring up the player profile. Yves Missi, center out of Baylor, 6'10", 7'2" wingspan, 10.7 points per game, 5.6 rebounds a game. Not much of a passer. Saying question about his conditioning needs to be better. He's going to have to really work on his conditioning. A bit of a fouler at Baylor as well. Commits a lot of fouls, but nonetheless, I mean, rebounding is one of his key things. A very strong person in the post, hands and eye coordination. The IQ is there, but again, it's going to be more of a project pick with Missi out of Baylor. Ben, what do you got on Missi out of Baylor?
Well, like you said, great big man. I mean, purely a defensive play if you're the Pelicans. He's basically just a lob threat on offense. You shouldn't expect him to have any post moves. You shouldn't expect him to score out of the post. He's going to come up, he's going to screen, he'll roll, and you're going to find him, and he'll get some kind of garbage putback buckets, which is fine. Every team needs that guy. There's no shame in playing that role at all. But I think some of those stats are a bit lower because he wasn't playing as many minutes as maybe he could have been. Part of it because of the conditioning, part of it because of the foul troubles. So he is going to have to learn how to play good defense without fouling guys more often. And, I think him being a rookie, probably not playing a whole lot of minutes will help. He, a lot less likelihood of him fouling out, and you get the sixth foul in the NBA. But this is a bit of a project pick too. And this is, I think, the Pelicans saying, let's hope this pans out. We've got, you have Jonas Valanciunas, Zion Williamson is playing power forward for you. Brandon Ingram is playing there. You don't need a whole lot of front court help. They have Larry Nance. They have Cody Zeller if they really need him. Yeah. A lightly used Cody Zeller.
Herb Jones is there. You've got a whole lot.
Herb Jones is more of a 2 or 3, but you have a lot of solid players and defenders. Yves Missi might find himself in the G League this season.
Yeah, I think a lot of these guys are, pretty much at the end of the draft. We're going to see a lot of G League playing from them, just kind of call up. It's going to feel like the MLBs, man. They're going to be called up, called down, sent back down, stuff like that. Derek, we talked about one guy for the Pelicans and Valanciunas possibly being made available and possibly being moved. Brandon Ingram's another guy that we've talked about that could be on the move when it came to New Orleans. This Missi pick is probably one, again, kind of just to have in their back pocket in case they have to end up moving from a Valanciunas. Who knows, maybe even a Larry Nance. It's also something that just kind of in their back pocket when it comes to injury concerns, because we all know Zion can't stay injury-free every single year.
This guy is I'm like Ben. It might be a G League. Now, I talked about Thomas Bryant a little earlier. Well, here's another guy that kind of reminds me of Thomas Bryant, but not with his ceiling is not as high as Thomas Bryant, I don't believe. Mm-hmm. I believe you can plug him in, but I think that's like 2 or 3 years down the line. But I don't think he's ready right now. And I'm like Ben, I think the G League would be really good for him. And as he progresses, they bring him back. And then we're looking at another Thomas Bryant type player.
As long as he's not Bruno Caboclo. You can't have him 2 years away from being 2 years away.
Okay, yeah.
Man, so we actually got a little bit of breaking news for here. Ben is going to break some news. Ben, you want to go ahead and let everybody know what's going on with the breaking news right now?
Yep, so it looks like so Phoenix was supposed to pick here at 22. It looks like Denver has traded up to get it. So they're giving up the number 28 and 56 picks this year and then 2 future second-round picks so they can come up and get the 22nd pick. And if we want me to reveal it, I can tell you who it looks like they've decided who they're taking too, and I think it's actually a really nice pick for them.
I would say wait on.
I hope a wing player. I hope it's a wing player.
Hold on to that. Hold on to that first so we can let them go. I'll tell you what, let's take a quick commercial. Yeah, we'll take a quick commercial break because the stream is on commercial right now. So we'll take a quick commercial break. Ben Bornstein. Gio had to actually leave, so it's Ben Bornstein, is Derek Irvin, Rudy Campos Jr. We'll be back here in just a minute. Living in South Texas, we all love to eat, especially tacos. Oh boy, La Cocina Taco Truck should be your only stop every time. They are just a short drive away, located at 283 West San Antonio Street in New Braunfels, Texas. There is no order too big or small for the staff to handle. Whether it's the ever so popular street tacos all the way to the amazing quesadillas, La Cocina will satisfy your appetite, guaranteed. Head over to see them at 283 West San Antonio Street in New Braunfels, Texas. Make that short drive so you can be satisfied at La Cocina Taco Truck. Proud sponsors of Sweep the League.
Hey, this is George Iceman Gervin, and you're listening to Sweet the League Radio.
All right, so before we went to commercial break, Ben broke some news that the Denver Nuggets are actually moving up, trading with the Phoenix Suns. So move up to number 22. Phoenix Suns ended up getting 28 and 56 in return from this year's draft, and then 2 future second-round picks. So as of right now, the picks being made as we are speaking, and it looks like hasn't been made quite just yet. So the pick is in, it hasn't been made. We're waiting for Adam Silver to actually announce the pick for the Denver Nuggets, who are now picking at 22. And I'm thinking Derek does not like the pick, or maybe he is kind of sad about it. But we will know here right now who the Denver Nuggets. Now it shows Phoenix still being picked, but Denver Nuggets are actually getting this. So for Phoenix, they are making this pick right now, but it is going to Denver, and that is Deron Holmes II, center out of Dayton, 6'9", 7-foot wingspan, 20.4 points per game, 2.1 blocks a game. Very, 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 very good shot blocker. I do like his game a lot. Very good on the pick and roll. I mean, he can screen for the point guards, free them up open because of the basket. Love the pick and roll that he does for Dayton. Not only that, it's just the turnovers again. You're going to see a lot of this coming in from the back part of the draft. All these kids are turnover prone, bit robotic when it comes to playing the game. But Ben, Deron Holmes II out of Dayton, now drafted by the Suns, but being moved to the Nuggets.
Yeah, this is a nice pick for the Nuggets. And actually, it was reported that he shut down workouts at one point in the pre-draft process, and it had been reported that he had a promise from the Nuggets. So this is really not surprising at all. I think it's a really nice pick for them. He's a good defensive forward. He's probably got more offense to his game than Aaron Gordon does right now. Mm-hmm. Not as athletic as Aaron Gordon, so let's not get that mixed up. But he's a pretty good shooter. He had to create a lot for himself at Dayton. Knows how to use a mismatch, and I think for the Nuggets to get him, it's going to be awesome. I mean, he's explosive, which is great. I mean, they've shown that they know how to use Aaron Gordon, who is also explosive and also real quick. Should be a 2-time NBA dunk contest champion, but is not because he was robbed twice. I will get off my high horse now. But
he was.
He was. We won't lie about that.
Thank you. That is. I just needed acknowledgement. Thank you. But he does have to work on the ball handling a bit. But if you're going to the Nuggets, there are plenty of other guys who are going to be handling the ball. He probably doesn't have to worry about that as much, but something he can and probably should work on down the road.
Can he be
good pick for the Nugs?
Can he be more of a? And again, it's kind of a reach. I saw a little bit of him, but can he play more of that Derek Lively role for Denver this season? I mean, just cut to the basket, just makes some nice pick and roll moves. Doesn't ask to do a whole lot, but again, never asked to, handle the ball. Just kind of just be moving left to right, laterally and all that. That's kind of what I kind of maybe see like a Derek.
He could probably be a Derek Lively with a jump.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. The jumper part. Derek, you were a little upset. What's going on, man? You okay?
Well, man, the guy, he's not a bad player, but this is my favorite team. And I wanted to see them. The reason we lost last year was because we lost two guys. Jeff Green, if he could play that Jeff Green role, then I'm okay with that. But I thought we needed to fill that Jeff Green, Bruce Brown void. Mm-hmm. But if he can come in like Ben, and then I look at some of the highlights, he looks like he could be a really good player. So if he could fill that Jeff Green role, then I'm a happy guy. A guy that can slash to the basket and throw it down on people, can hit the occasional jump shot and can defend, then I'm happy with the move. But, I wanted someone to replace Bruce Brown. But I'll deal with someone that can replace Jeff Green. So I'll say maybe it's not as bad a move as I previously thought.
Well, for what it's worth, Derek, the only thing he can't do that Jeff Green does well is age and then play for 10 different teams.
Yeah, Jeff did that.
I think I like this pick for Denver. I think he does fill the void that they had there because we know Denver's biggest weakness, Derek, was what we talked about many times, is the bench play. Losing those two guys was really hard.
Rudy, can I clear it up? The reason I said that is at first because when they listed him as center, I'm saying like why? Because we already have Zeke Naji.
Yeah.
But if he could play that 4 role and he could back up Aaron Gordon and possibly even Michael Porter Jr., then I look at it as a good move. He looks like a guy that can get out on the break. So I will say I like that part. So I won't call it a total failure. I'm going to get a guy the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, I think it's still a really good pick for Denver. I do like that pick right there for Denver. We've got a Milwaukee on the clock now. And wow, what does Milwaukee need? They need a point guard. I feel they need a point guard desperately. But with Doc Rivers there, Dame Lillard, Giannis Antetokounmpo, I think they're probably going to go get a veteran point guard somewhere. They're probably not going to look at anyone in this draft. Is this possibly a position, Ben, where we see probably one of the shooting guards available, the top shooting guards there, at Furphy or George? Where can you possibly see the Milwaukee Bucks going here? I don't see them going with Kolek or Collier here. I don't see it happening, but then again, we don't really know what the hell is happening in this draft. You got your mic on mute, buddy.
That is true. I think Milwaukee is about to make a reach on a guy here. They're going to go and get a point guard. And I don't think it's going to be. I don't even know if you have a card for this guy, Rudy.
Chances are we'll see. I may.
We'll see. I think this guy for a lot of people was a second round pick, and he's getting picked up at 23.
International guy.
International.
Pacome Dadiet?
No.
Wow. Okay.
It looks like they're going to go out and they're going to go get AJ Johnson.
AJ Johnson off the NBL. So that's the rumored pick right now until they make it official. Yes. AJ Johnson. Yes. Okay. Well, you kind of underestimate me because we do have a player profile for that guy. So I
don't mind being proven wrong, man. That's great.
I've spent, man, let's be real, man. We have a little break here. I've spent the better part of almost a month getting player profile cards. So when I prepare for these draft shows, It's long nights. So
I will not underestimate you again, sir.
I definitely have. So we'll see what Milwaukee does here. I know you're saying they're going to go with a point guard. We did mention it's more likely in the lines of AJ Johnson, who is definitely, I don't even know if he was a second round pick when I was doing my profile looks and my videos on players. Late second round pick, but nonetheless, Milwaukee has made AJ Johnson their pick here. If you can break down what they're seeing when it comes to AJ Johnson, a 6'4" guard out of the United, I can't even pronounce that. Illawarra, NBL, United States is where he's coming out of. But I mean, he's the biggest thing that you have on this guy that is just out there is the weight. 167 pounds. I mean, the kid needs to go to Burger Boy. He needs to go to La Cocina taco truck because he's going to have to get a lot of muscle. But the frame is there. I mean, the scoring, this is a pick where I'm just going to let you take over, Ben, because nothing screams first round. Nothing screams middle second round for AJ.
This is difficult to put into words. He is a hypothetical player almost. The Milwaukee Bucks are hoping this pans out in 2 to 3 years. This is very much a long con play in the hopes that he turns into the point guard they're hoping for. Because right now there is nothing on your stat card that would indicate he is a first round draft pick in a normal draft.
No, nothing at all. We brought this up, like 10 times tonight? Is this a pick where Milwaukee may be drafting this kid, trading him as part of a package? I mean, Middleton could be out there too, where maybe teams are asking for Middleton. Could he be part of a package? I have no idea, but the key phrase that you said was there's nothing that screams first round pick. I mean, I never played in the league. I never played in college or anything, obviously, but I mean, averaging 2.9 points a game and shooting well below 30%, it just doesn't scream as first round. Derek Irvin, man. Milwaukee, what are they doing, man? I don't understand exactly what they're doing in Milwaukee.
I don't know, man. Maybe they saw flashes of Felipe Lopez or something. I don't know, man. I don't get it because I thought I believe we've seen the best of Chris Middleton.
Yeah.
So I thought that's what they really needed to address, either that or the big man, maybe Brooke Lopez or something. But I don't understand this move. Never even heard of the kid. So I guess they see something once again that we don't see. But, just because you get drafted this late doesn't mean you're going to make the team either. So I'm going to wish the young man well, but I don't get it.
Yeah, and, we've got a little – oh, go ahead, Ben. You got something?
You have to imagine that they sent him to the G League and just let him kind of run free. And there's no reason for them to play him in an NBA game right now.
No, not at all. I mean,
167?
167 pounds, Derek.
My brother was 185, George at 6'9", but it was 167. Oh, my goodness.
That's what we're saying. I mean, he's literally a kid that is a lean frame. And, I mean, it's 167. Imagine this. I'm doing the player profile cards, and I get to A.J. Johnson, and I'm typing 167. I said, wait a minute, is he like 5'8"? Is he 6 foot? I mean, when I see 6'4", I'm like, oh my God, that's got to be a typo. But no, sure enough, I mean, a real skinny frame here for AJ Johnson. But nonetheless, we got to move on here because we do have some breaking news right now. The New York Knicks at number 24 are actually making a trade right now. They are trading the 24th pick to the Washington Wizards, who are actually putting together a nice little squad, if I'm not mistaken here. Washington Wizards are going to get the 24th pick. The Knicks are trading out of the 24th pick. So Washington is kind of one guy that's being mentioned right now is Kaishan George, maybe being the draft pick for Washington. They're kind of eyeing him a little bit. Would Kaishan fit really well there, Ben, for Washington? Because, again, we're kind of looking at the Kuzma and Jordan Poole thing going. There's rumors that Kuzma might be gone. They're going to have to eat one of those contracts, but probably going to end up being Jordan Poole. But Kaishan George there out of Miami, does he really fit well there in Washington?
I think he will. I think he could be a little bit of a Denny Avdia replacement. Mm-hmm. He might be, well, he's not, I wouldn't say he's small. He's 6'7". He's got good size. He's a good pull-up shooter. He's got positional versatility for them. I think they might have found an Avdia replacement. Although I think, I think it'll take him 2 years to really truly replace him. But I think they found a pretty good player. I mean, he's shooting almost 41% on 4 attempts a game from deep. So
Yeah.
a guy who's pretty good shooter, I should say. But he's not super explosive, and you could probably argue Avdia wasn't super explosive either. But he's going to have to get a little stronger. And he didn't play a whole lot of minutes for Miami. Miami was a really weird squad. You want to talk about a down ACC year? Miami had a pretty bad year too. That was a team.
Yeah.
I mean, first half of the season they looked very good, and then the wheels fell off. So I'm not sure what to expect from Kaishan George, but I think it's a solid pick, I'd say, and he could contribute right away, especially if Washington continues to make more moves.
Yeah, we've got Derek. We've got a couple of questions in here for you before we get to the next pick here. Tim Gonzalez, thank you, Tim, for joining us tonight. Says if Adam Silver called you and asked you to come to Brooklyn and ask you to give a speech to these young men, what would you say to the guys that are being drafted tonight?
Oh boy, well, I would tell them first, welcome to the NBA, but it's not going to be smooth sailing right from the beginning. And, there's still a lot. Joe Tsai and Sean Marks, I'm still trying to figure out what's their end goal when they get rid of Mikal Bridges. I know that it looks like they're going to hand the team over to Cam Thomas. So it's not going to be like a lot of veterans on this team. So I'm going to ask these guys, I would tell them just come in and continue to work hard and try to get better one day at a time and trust the process, basically, like they said in Philadelphia. And I think at this point, that's where they are. I'm going to love this team forever, and I thank them for giving me an opportunity. So I would tell these young guys to just stay patient, just continue to work hard, and if you do that, things will eventually work out for you, and it'll work out for the team.
Yeah, that's a good thing to maybe talk on a show one day. So what is the end game for Brooklyn? I mean, I still haven't figured that out at all, and it's a tough call there. Pick is it at number 24. Again, the Knicks are picking at 24, but it's going to be traded to Washington. And as we mentioned a little while ago, Kaishan George was the guy that the Washington Wizards are looking at. So again, the Knicks did draft Kaishan George, but it is going to be heading over to Washington. Actually, is that the way it works? Yeah. So Washington's going to receive Kaishan George. So Ben, you gave a little bit about Kaishan George. Give him everybody that's in here right now. If you give him a quick synopsis on Kaishan George, forward out of Miami, 6'7", 209 pounds, 6'10" wingspan. Again, shot almost 41% from 3-point range. Does kind of fit where you said when they moved Denny earlier to Portland, kind of could possibly fill that Denny role. What do you got on Kaishan George?
Yeah, this one's a bit odd. He started only half the games for Miami last season. He averaged only 23 minutes a game. So, but he did attempt about 4 triples a game. So that shooting percentage is on good volume, I would say. But he didn't play enough minutes to really put up other numbers. It's a weird one for sure. And his free throw percentage shooting about 78%, which is okay. But his 3-point shooting percentage is really good, 40.8, but his overall field goal percentage is 42.6 on six attempts a game, and you're talking about 4 of those attempts are from deep. So the other 2 attempts that are coming inside the arc are not hitting at a good enough clip.
Yeah.
So it's very odd, but I think they see him as a Denny replacement.
Yeah, it definitely could be a Denny replacement. Derek, we got Kaishan George going, again, drafted by the Knicks, but he's going to be heading over to Washington. And again, Washington is going to pick at 26, but that's going to be for the New York Knicks later on in the next couple of picks here. But Kaishan George, like I said, forward to Miami. Makes sense, with them moving on from Denny there to Denny in Portland. It does make sense for Kaishan to be drafted there. But again, another project pick that we're seeing being drafted here.
Rudy, I don't think it makes sense. You know why? If he were going to an established team that has discipline, I could see him being a good player, okay? So, but when you come in, and remember, now Ben talked about Miami wasn't that great a team this year. So I believe they had some discipline issues. And this young man, there's a reason he only played 23 minutes for a team that wasn't that great. And when I want you to come in being tutored, if you have potential, I don't want you being tutored by Kyle Kuzma and Jordan Poole.
Yes.
So that's what bothers me. And if I was this young man, that's what will bother me as well. I would rather go to an established organization that could bring me along slowly. I don't want to go somewhere where they're going to be teaching you bad habits. That's just my opinion.
And to piggyback on that point, if they're going to bring you in and you're gonna learn the culture or something, and you know, maybe they're going to give you a lot of run, you'd at least like to have good veterans to lean on who are going to kind of be in your ear and, you know, arm over the shoulder and say, hey man, don't worry about it. You know, we're working with you. We're going to get there to, you know, we've got you. I don't know that Washington has those kinds of vets right now.
No, they really don't. I mean, if you're looking at the Washington Wizards right now, I mean, let me pull up their depth chart right now. You're talking
Rudy, why you pulling them up? They got one of my guys, one of my old teammates' son, just rotting away on the bench by the name of Johnny Davis.
Yeah.
Same situation. I felt really bad when he got drafted by the Washington Wizards.
Yeah. I mean,
That was
right. I mean, it's so they've got the talent. It's just rotting away, man. I mean, obviously Alex Sarr is there. Keyshawn George, it's a meh type pick. I think there could have been a better option there. One of the bright spots that Washington has that I'm kind of giddy to see him next to Sarr is Bilal Koulibaly. I like his game a lot. I really do like Koulibaly.
He's not bad. Yeah.
Well, I got the first name right, so I get half the credit point on that one. But
you were close enough.
Koulibaly, so Bilal Koulibaly. I want to see him with Sarr. Again, I think Kuzma is probably going to be gone. I don't see Kuzma being there. They're going to have to move on. But, I mean, you've got players there, like you mentioned, Johnny Davis, Corey Crispert is there. I mean, there's players there, but it's the whole – what does it take? Is it going to take for a no-nonsense type coach to just go in there and a no-nonsense front office to get in there and just wipe this slate clean for Washington to even be, you know – not even contenders, just to even be good again?
Rudy, what coach wants that job and then take a chance of affecting his future?
Not very many, man. Not very many at all. I know I would take it because I'm just crazy like that, but I would probably end up taking that job. No idea why. But if
they let you actually coach, if they let you actually deal with the Kuzma if he stays. I believe he's going to Detroit Pistons. But if you let you deal with a Kuzma or Jordan Poole who's shooting the ball, turning around like he's Steph Curry, if they give the coach some freedom to actually coach, then I could see it working. But if you're just coming in there to just sit on the sidelines, no, I wouldn't take that chance to ruin my future.
Yeah, no, I totally get it, man. I totally get it. New York Knicks are on the clock. They're going to actually have the next two picks, 25 and 26. We'll be here, like I said, to the end of the draft. We're almost there. We are scratching and crawling to get to the end of the draft here. First round, we'll be in here, first round coverage of the 2024 NBA draft. After this, I will definitely be on for the post-draft show. We got to let Ben go. He's on the East Coast, man, so we got to let him get to sleep because he's up late with us here.
Look at Ben.
Covering the first draft.
I tweeted this out earlier, but you know, it's crazy to me. The NFL can get their first round done, which is 32 picks, by the way. They can get it done in under 3 hours. Meanwhile, the NBA struggles to get 30 picks done in 3.5 hours.
In 3.5 hours, yeah.
What are we doing?
Agreed. You got, look, 2 thumbs up because I agree with you 100%.
And you know what the worst part is? The second round is going to happen tomorrow, and it's going to blaze.
Oh.
That's always what happens in the second round with the NBA. Like, you know, because all those picks get tweeted out ahead of time. You get to a point in the second round where Woj and Shams are trading back and forth. All right, how many picks ahead can I get?
Yeah.
You get 3-4 picks ahead, and it's and it's hard to keep up on there. But
Rudy, can I say this to Ben quickly? So Ben, is it because do they need to stop letting these guys, they interview every player and all that stuff? They don't do that in the second round.
No, they don't do that in the second round. But with the NFL, they interview the guys after they go up too. That's not the issue. The issue is when the pick is in, send the commissioner out immediately and announce the pick so that the next clock can start. It's not difficult. And I'll say this: the other problem is you have 5-minute commercials between everything because got to get paid. But if we lived in a world where we didn't need 5-minute commercials, it would be a lot easier too, because then you can Nikola Jokic he famously got picked during a Taco Bell commercial because he was a second rounder. This is the year. If someone's going to get picked during a Taco Bell commercial, you can have that happen in the first round this year. It's fine. I don't think anybody's going to say anything about it.
Yeah, and I know we have a lot of speechless New York Knicks fans here being drafted at number 25 as their pick is in. And they ended up going with a shooting guard out of France. I mean, France is supposed to be the big money thing right now. So they went with Pacomi Dadiet, forward out of, and I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. It's late in the evening, man, but I will, I'll make an attempt. Ratio Farm, LNB Pro B, France. So I figure if you've got pretty much every letter in the alphabet between your name and where you played, you are doing something right. 6'7", 217 pounds, 6'9" wingspan, only 6.6 points a game, shot about 36% from 3-point range. Skill shooter off the dribble. He is pretty sloppy with the ball. The passing game definitely has to get worked on here. Nonetheless, he's a good attacker. Defense, defense is, it's pretty good right there, but Pacom Dadiet reminds me a lot of when they went back and got Frank Ntilikina that one time. It's kind of like, okay, we got this guy, but what are we really getting out of Pacom? What do you got, Ben?
I'll say this: he's not scoring a lot, and he doesn't put up a whole lot of offense because one, he only played 18 games this season, and two, he was only playing about 15 minutes in those games. So this is a guy who they're drafting on potential as well. They're hoping the little flashes that we've seen, they're going to translate to the NBA, and we're going to be good. But you're talking about 6'7" guys, not necessarily a point guard, which is fine because his cons, as you have listed here, sloppy with the ball, inaccurate passes. He may not have to do that a whole lot, depending on how the Knicks use him. The Knicks have their point guard; they're not worried about it, so they're not worried about anything. But if you're a Knicks fan, everything's looking up after some trades this week, right? So, I think Knicks are probably going to say we'll throw him into the G League. If we have some injuries, we'll bring him up. But otherwise, let him experiment down there and see what happens.
Yeah, I don't see him fitting pretty much. Honestly, I'll be honest. This is probably a guy that I don't think makes the Knicks roster. I think.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
he goes back overseas. Rudy, can I not even cut you off? But remember, some of these guys are not even going to come to the NBA because they're going to get paid more money. This is a guy I think he'll get paid more money in France. I don't even see him coming to the G League. I don't think the G League is for everyone. And some of these guys on the lower end of the first round, they're going to go for the money. Show me the money. And I can see this guy staying in France to play.
Yeah, he's only 18 years old. So, you got to figure if the Knicks are like, okay, we're drafting you here, we're probably going to just leave you overseas and do a draft and stash type of thing. We haven't seen that very much lately because of the emergence of the G League. But in this case, it makes total sense. Technically, really is still a kid at 18 years old. He has no business really being on an NBA court right now, whether it be the pros or the G League. I think he still needs to stay overseas. Tim Gonzalez is in here, guys. Which player did impress you in the outfit tonight? I picked Castle for my best fit. I need to go back and look at the best fits. I don't know, man. I'm going to say the all-time for me, one of the all-times has got to be Akeem Olajuwon when he was dressed up. I don't know if any person that was drafted in this draft for preference drafts, I like the Akeem Olajuwon, outfit, the giddy up. He's the one that he had the tux, right? Was that night? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Rudy, if you ask me the peak of NBA draft fashion, 2007, Joakim Noah's all-white suit that was way too big for him.
I remember that.
What about Grady Dick, man? Grady Dick had on.
Yeah.
That was a choice.
Yeah, I remember that. Can we say that the 96 draft with Kobe, and Sharif Abdur-Rahim, I think Nash was in that one. That was a very stylish draft, if I'm not mistaken. I think a lot of those guys dressed like way too impressed. Ben, question from Tim. What are the chances the Spurs draft Kyle Filipowski? He desperately wanted Kyle Filipowski to come to San Antonio, man. Definitely going to be in the second round, I'm sure. There's no doubt about that.
Well, I mean, if they do draft him, it would have to be in the second round unless they make a trade up. But the Spurs have the 35th pick, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
There's an outside chance he falls there. I think picking him up at 35 would be a good value pick at the very worst. We're talking about a guy who can space a little bit. He's Zach Collins-ish, I would say, in that he can step out and shoot it a bit. He can post guys up down low if he has a nice mismatch. Probably can handle the ball a little better than Collins. Mm-hmm. But I would say pretty Zach Collins-ish, actually. So I wouldn't hate that pick.
Well, we got to pick in, and I hate to say this, man, but I didn't quite make it down into the 70s on the Ringer. So we've got a player that got drafted that we do not have a card for, but because we have the Ringer, we can actually share it on here as well. So Dylan Jones got drafted at number 26. Again, the Wizards made the pick, but it is going to the New York Knicks out of Weber State. 6'4", 237 pounds, 6'11" wingspan, 22 years of age, 20 points a game, almost 21 points a game, 32.4% shooting, 9.8 rebounds. Basically, he's got a good float game, rebounding as well. Very sluggish ball defender. His defense isn't quite up to par. Again, Dylan Jones is probably another G League type of guy. Ben, Weber State, same difference, same minutes late. Who cares? Dylan Jones, senior out of Weber State. What do we got on Dylan Jones here?
Man, this was tough. This was not a guy I was watching a whole lot of. I was not expecting him to go in the first round, maybe even the second round. So
it happens every year.
Inevitably, it happens every year. But it's funny because I'm looking at the Ringer as well, and they're talking about shades of Grant Williams crossed with Julius Randle. So basically, like major bully ball.
Yeah. Pretty much.
He's just going to try and bully his way to the rim and hope for the best, but he's not quite as big as Kenneth Lofton Jr. now, is he?
Hey, shout out to Kenneth Lofton.
No.
He lost a lot of weight. Have you seen late pictures?
He looks great.
He lost a lot of weight.
Major props to Kenneth Lofton Jr. I liked him at LA Tech. I thought he was great there. I was happy when he was drafted.
Yeah, Dylan Jones. I mean, again, we didn't get a whole lot on him. Obviously, we don't have a player profile card for him. I didn't go that far down the list.
Utah Jazz at some point.
Yeah, I would definitely say, man, this is definitely one from out of left field. But nonetheless, Dylan Jones is the newest member of the New York Knicks. Again, the Washington Wizards did make that pick at 26. He is going
Dylan
to
Jones
as part of that trade for Keyshawn George. So we are sitting here at pick number 27. We got 4 picks left, man. We can crawl through these 4 picks, and then you get to go to bed. I don't know. Gio's already probably went to bed, but you get to go to bed. I've got another 20, 30 minutes after that. So I'm hoping Derek comes. If not, then it's going to be a solo show for the 20 minutes after the draft here. But nonetheless, we've got Tim Gonzalez, Rudy Derek, Gio, and Jeff Ron tomorrow. I have a good question for the 4 of y'all. Tomorrow I'm going to pick y'all's brain. Yeah, we'll see if we can get everybody back on. If not tomorrow, maybe for Friday. Jeff Garcia, update. Brian Wright still has yet to address the draft. Now,
jeez.
Yeah, this was back in pick 4 and 8. So I'm kind of curious as to why Brian Wright hasn't addressed the media when it comes to the draft. I mean, you would think that would have been done by now. So thanks for the update, Jeff. I really appreciate that. I mean, it's kind of crazy that we think, Derek, that Brian Wright hasn't really said anything about this draft. I mean, you pretty much already traded Dillingham. You can't really comment on that.
He's trying to figure out what he's going to say because there's a lot of disappointed people out there. And, the fans have a right to voice their displeasure.
Yeah. What do you got, Ben?
It's only a proposed trade right now. He, like you said, Derek, he's not allowed to comment on it until the paperwork's finalized and everything's signed. So we can't even talk about that. So, I mean, what are you going to talk about? You're going to talk about Stephon Castle the whole time and just duck every trade question?
Yeah. And that's the good thing about most of the San Antonio media. I mean, a lot of them are good, so they understand that that's probably something that he can't comment at this time. But, Jeff's going to give us as much of an update as he can, just like he did. Brian Wright still has yet to adjust what happened with the San Antonio Spurs. And again, I mean, because it's a preliminary type trade, it's not really finalized. The possibilities of maybe something else being involved in that trade, I mean, there's got to be something more than just picks, 6 years down the road, I would think, right? I mean, you're giving up a top 10 pick, a lottery pick, and basically giving them up for nothing that's going to help you right away, other than the fact that you don't have to pay a contract. That's one less contract you have to worry about.
Right. If that's what you're doing, are you doing it with the intent of going out and signing someone big so you can use that cap space?
That's exactly
Tobias Harris.
Derek is all in on Tobias Harris, and I love it.
Hey, I know his dad. I'm just saying. I'm not saying. I'm not telling everybody I talked to the dad. His dad was my agent, and Tobias is very familiar with San Antonio. He used to come here every summer and work out at the Gervin gym. So he fits right in, and he knows San Antonio very well.
Yeah,
I mean, we got to manifest this. What do we have to do? Do we need to light some candles? What's the deal?
We just have to listen to Derek Gervin. That is it. Once we listen to Derek, it always happens with Derek. I was just going to say that.
Don't put that pressure on
me. So right now we've got Minnesota drafting at number 27. Again, the proposed deal with Minnesota, obviously, getting number 8, Rob Dillingham, part of the Spurs, and sending back 2030 and 2031 pick. Minnesota at number 27 does take a shooting guard out of Illinois, and it is Terrence Shannon Jr. I do have a player profile card for this guy, Ben, so we don't have to worry about that. 23 points a game, 4 rebounds, 2.3 assists. Just a little bit over 36% from three-point range, 6'8" frame, 6'8" wingspan. His athleticism is what's going to jump off the charts on you. Bit undersized, I think, a little bit, but not by much. Streaky shooter at that. What do we have on Terrence Shannon Jr., Ben?
Terrence Shannon Jr. Very enjoyable to watch at Illinois. Was the heart of that team. Made that offense run. He was the guy. If they couldn't get things moving, they gave him the ball and said, go to work. And he did. He was great. He did have that off the court issue earlier this spring. It was resolved. There was I think it was accusations of a sexual assault, if I'm not mistaken, but he was cleared of that. So I think as long as teams, it looks like Minnesota was comfortable with that and they're good with it. He's pretty versatile. He's a solid defender, can go out and get his own shot. It's going to be a nice little piece for Minnesota to mess around with.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a nice little piece for Minnesota. I actually kind of like this pick right here. Derek, Terrence Shannon Jr. Feels kind of, can't really say there was a void in Minnesota right now. You're talking to a team that went deep into the Western Conference playoffs there. And he's a guy that can definitely come in off the bench, contribute some points. Great scorer. Like I said, his explosiveness is what's going to basically just shoot you right in the eye when you see him. And for him going to a Minnesota team, this makes a lot of sense for them.
They need this young man because if you think about it, that backcourt was stagnant when Anthony Edwards went to the bench. Mm-hmm. They needed more scoring. They had to get more scoring. They started incorporating Najee Reed for more scoring. So they need a guy in the backcourt. Conley's, of course, we know has gotten up in age. He's still a good player, but he's not the guy that he was a few years ago. So they need this young guy. They need that energy. And I think he's a guy that can come in this year and play if it's 10 to 15 minutes. Mm-hmm. He bolsters their offense. And I think it's a really good move. And it's another guy that vouched for him, Steven Bardo. So, I keep up with Steve. And, Steve is one of the greats from Illinois. So he vouches for this young man. And the things that he went through, it seems like this young man is maturing, he's trying to mature. We have to give everybody a second chance. And I think as a ball player, he's going to be a good move for the Timberwolves.
Yeah, I think it is going to be a really good move. I think this was a really good pick by Minnesota, Terrence Shannon Jr. Out of Illinois, we had another pick happen right now. It seems like they saw Ben's tweet and was like, okay, Ben, we will pick it up just for you, Ben, because we know we got to get you to bed there. But Ryan Dunn, forward out of Virginia. Now, we got to keep in mind that this pick right here is not going to Denver. It's going to be for the Phoenix Suns, as Phoenix drafted Deron Holmes second earlier in the draft at 22nd. He will be a Denver Nugget. Ryan Dunn will be going to the Phoenix Suns here. 6'6" guy, 7-foot wingspan, 8.1 points per game, 6.9 rebounds per game. He's a really good defender, really disruptive defender, athletic pressure at the rim. He doesn't have the ability to create his own shot, and that's something that he's going to have to really, really work on. He got some pretty good scores in Phoenix where he's going to be heading off to, so he can definitely learn from there. Ryan Dunn, Ben, forward out of Virginia.
He is going to be very Andre Roberson-esque. He's going to be a good defender. Phoenix is going to ask him to defend the other team's best backcourt player. And that way, Devin Booker and other guys can be freed up to do whatever they want. So he will have a very specific role. Like you said, he basically has no offense unless it is out in transition and he gets a wide open bucket and he can go and dunk it or lay it up, whatever. Other than that, he is really not a shooter, which if you're Phoenix, it's probably fine. I mean, you have Kevin Durant, you have Devin Booker, two of the best shooters in the league right now. I think you'll be fine. So again, but if he wants to stay in the league, he's going to have to learn how to shoot it at some point, or at least be somewhat of a threat. I mean, I would say Lou Dort is a great example of this. A guy who came into the league, not known as a shooter. Now you have to at least respect him as a shooter.
Yeah, that is Ryan Dunn. And when you mentioned a certain player in Andre Roberson, Derek got a little giddy there. Derek, Ryan Dunn, Virginia here going to Phoenix, man.
Well, Ben doesn't know that how often I talk to Andre's dad, John. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, I think you know who this young man reminds me of on the smaller version from Virginia, Diakite.
Oh, Mamadi Diakite.
Yeah, that just the energy guy, not a good shooter and all of that, but he's going to give you energy. So on that, I think it's a good move. But when Ben says Andre Roberson or Robert, that means he can defend. And if you remember Andre, before his injury, Andre was one of the top 3 wing defenders up there with Kawhi. And so I think this could be a good move.
Yeah, it could be a good move. I mean, 2.5 blocks a game pretty much shows, his defensive prowess. And
as a wing player.
Yeah, as a wing player.
Yeah.
So,
oh boy, yes.
Yeah, so I mean, we're seeing that Ryan Dunn, he can actually carve his spot in Phoenix's on the roster because, like we mentioned, he doesn't have to be a scorer at all. That is a guarantee. Go ahead, Eric.
Can I say really quick why I like this young man and a few others in the draft? Because the game has translated now where all they talk about is the offensive end. And for all these young people out here that's paying attention, AAU, EYBL, if you can't shoot the ball, they still have an opportunity for you to play if you can defend. Mm-hmm. So not being able to shoot the ball is not necessarily as bad as people make it seem. If you can defend, there's still a spot for you somewhere out there. And that's why I want these young people to understand.
Oh, yeah, 100%. It reminds me of, when we were talking about in high school where, playing football. Yeah, running backs, wide receivers, quarterbacks, cornerbacks, all these guys are the sexy guys in football, but it's the guys, the offensive linemen, that are the reason why a lot of teams are successful. So it starts in the trenches, and there's always going to be a job there. Same thing in basketball. If you can defend and you're a hell of a defender, you're going to be on a roster somewhere. Utah Jazz had the second to last pick at 29. They went with Isaiah Collier, point guard out of USC. This kid was once talked about as being a lottery pick. Mm-hmm. I mean, he was highly touted going into USC, and just kind of not necessarily fell to the face of the earth, but we saw him just come down and down and down. 6'2", 16.3 points per game, about 34% shooting from three-point range. Good ball handler, Ben. He can take contact and finish at the basket. Makes a lot of mistakes, and I think that's one reason why Collier just pretty much fell out of the lottery. Isaiah Collier here, guard from USC.
Well, that's one of the reasons, but he also was injured for a lot of the year, and I think because of that injury, he didn't play as well as he would have liked. I think it affected his shooting, and USC had chemistry problems all year, which is not necessarily his fault. I coached, and you could argue that Coach Andy Enfield kind of threw in the towel a little bit because he went out and he said, "Oh, I got all these great recruits. I'm just going to throw them together, and we'll be a great team." Last year in the Pac-12, let's go win the Pac-12. Did not come close, did not do that. They had a lot of issues. I mean, Bronny James had the heart issues, so he didn't play for a lot of the season. Isaiah Collier missed time in this season. It was very bizarre. It was a very bizarre USC season. But having said that, Isaiah Collier at one point was the projected top pick in this draft. Mm-hmm. So, I've seen some people say, "Oh, well, he was the projected top pick in this draft. This is great value for him at 29." But on the other hand, couldn't you also ask, maybe we shouldn't have been rating him as the top pick in this draft preseason? Yeah. I mean, it goes both ways. So, solid player. I think the Jazz got a sneaky good pick, though. I mean, he'll figure out the reckless mistakes, so he has a good guard in Colin Sexton to learn from. The mechanics will have to work themselves out. He'll need help with the shooting, but he is a really strong point guard, and that's one of the reasons he finishes well despite contact. Yeah. So I would say if he can maintain that and maybe try and get a little faster, that is a recipe for absolute mayhem for defenders.
Yeah, I like the Collier pick here at the late of the first round. Derek, I'm gonna let you have a little bit of Collier, but I want to ask you something real quick because the world champions, my pick for the world champions, Boston Celtics, are at number 30. How big of a middle finger would it be if they took Bronny James just for the hell of it, knowing that LeBron is a Laker?
The day must be April the 1st, because that's not happening.
No, I'm just saying them just to do it because of the Celtics.
They could do it. Yeah,
that's just kind of a.
that would be a once in a lifetime NBA moment.
And what would be even funnier is if they had Larry Bird come out and announce the pick. And that would probably just be that'd be a match made in heaven right there if that ever happened, man. But with Isaiah Collier, Derek, going to Utah, to be honest, it's one of those picks in the first 29 that I actually like. I enjoy it. He can learn like Colin Sexton. He's got a lot of good players there that he can learn from. Collier to Utah just makes a lot of sense for us.
I think it's a good move because I watched them play a little bit this year, and they did have an up and down season, and a lot of things were out of the players' control. So I think it can get frustrating in the locker room when you've been a highly coveted player and things don't go your way, and you're used to winning games, and then you start struggling. And then, of course, Bronny was in and out the lineup with his heart issue. So they just had a lot of issues. And then with Mr. Collier being hurt, sometimes when you come back, and Ben, you know this, your wind is not the same, your conditioning. So there are several factors that can contribute to you not living up to the hype, as they say. But I think this young man is going to be a really good player, and I think it was a really good move for the Utah Jazz.
Yeah, 100%. I really do think it was a really good move for the Utah Jazz. Man, we have one pick left, man. One pick left.
I think I can do it. I can do it.
We can make
God.
it. We can make it here. We can definitely make it. And I'm going to tell you right now, I did see the pick, and I love this. This is a kid that I think we had talked about, Ben. And I'm going to say Boston. Boston. Yeah. I like this kid a lot, man.
I know. I'm really upset that Boston got this pick.
Nonetheless, we're going to announce the pick right now, and we're going to show everybody here it is. Boston has made the pick, and that pick is one Baylor Shireman, guard out of Creighton. 6'6", 18.5 points, 38% three-point shooter. Versatile shooter is just putting it in a nice space for me. He's a high field player, as it says, can attack the basket. I mean, he's a ball handler. Boston's getting a really, really good one on this pick right here. Kind of now, I guess in my mind, I don't know about y'all's mind, but kind of has that same feel. He's going to play that role of like a Pritchard, a Hauser, something like that for Boston, which again, those guys were massive. And this kid's just going to come right in and be able to be one of those guys, Ben.
Man, Baylor Shireman going to the Boston Celtics is just wrong. Like you said, he is a phenomenal shooter. I think I've said this about like 5 people in this draft, but I do genuinely enjoy watching him play ball. Like you got here, he's a high field player. When he's not hitting shots, he's not forcing it. He's trying to drive and create for other people. When he is hitting, he is letting that thing fly, and he has no conscience, and I love it. Just gets super confident. He's like, I'm going to hit every shot. You let me get up now, and you're going to regret it. And it's amazing. I love watching it so much. But he got to play with a 7-footer and Ryan Kalkbrenner this past year. He's going to have the opportunity to play with Al Horford and Kristaps Porzingis, and Porzingis moves a lot better than Kalkbrenner does and can step out and shoot it. I think it would be super fun to watch him play with that team. He gives them a shooter probably coming off the bench that they could use. I mean, they just won a title, so they don't necessarily need to do anything. But shoring up the bench like that sure doesn't hurt.
Yeah, it makes me feel giddy, man, because now you've got Brown and Tatum who can obviously slash and get to the basket, and then to have Shireman out there just on the wing or somewhere, all alone, drawing the defensive end, kicking it out to him. Oh, my God. The rich just got richer. Derek, I mean, Shireman from Creighton, pure shooter, man.
I like it. It's not just his shooting, Rudy. I like this kid. He's got a good basketball IQ.
Mm-hmm.
He could put the ball on the floor. He's different than Hauser and Pritchard because basically when they come in the game, sometimes Pritchard has to run the offense, but they want Pritchard to be able to be a knockdown shooter. And we know Hauser is a knockdown shooter, maybe mainly from the corner or the wing. This guy reminds me of the same role that Miami uses Jaquez in, and that Dallas and Golden State uses Podziemski. He's got the same type of ability, man. And I think Boston got one of the steals of the draft.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the last 2 picks of this draft are phenomenal fits for both teams in Utah and Boston. Boston obviously coming off of a title this year. They just got a lot stronger. That is it for the first round of the draft. We were with you for the entire time. As it is, like I said, the 2024 NBA draft presented by MCS General Contracting, La Casina Taco Truck, Sweep the League is with you the entire draft. We're going to go ahead and end the stream right now. We're going to have Ben on either later in the week or next week to kind of recap the draft. He's going to give you his thoughts on maybe which team, had the higher grade, which team maybe just hit and miss, swung for the fences, didn't quite get over the fence. Ben's going to come back and give us all the rest of his analytics for all these picks coming up here, including those in the second round who he felt maybe were great picks for teams, including your San Antonio Spurs. So first and foremost, thank you again to MCS General Contracting, La Cocina Taco Truck. Appreciate y'all guys for being a sponsor and sponsoring the NBA draft here for Sweep the League. So for Ben Bornstein, appreciate you joining us here tonight. Thank you for all your analysts, man. We appreciate that very much. For Coach Gio and for Derek, appreciate you joining us tonight, Derek. It was a long night, but welcome to your very first coverage of draft with us here at Sweep the League. I'm sure there's going to be many of them.
I enjoyed it. Ben, I think you're great, man. It's the second time I told you that. And I meant it both times. Oh, man, I enjoy Rudy and I are friends. And when he bring these guys on the show, man, it's special. But I got you. You're at the top of the list, my man.
Oh, boy. No pressure.
No pressure at all, man. But again, we are going to end the coverage of our live stream. Give us about 15 minutes or so. We're going to come back with the NBA draft post show, and we're going to just kind of go over a couple of picks. It's not going to be long. I'll probably doing it for about 15, 20 minutes, maybe go over the Spurs picks. I know a lot of people are still upset on that. So for Ben Bornstein, for Derek Gervin, for Coach Gio, for our producers out there, Shemai and Mark, also to Rocky as well, and everybody involved with Sweep the League. Again, MCS General Contracting, La Cocina Food Truck. This has been the NBA Draft Coverage Show for Sweep the League. Give me about 15 minutes. I'll be back for some post show. Thanks for everybody tuning in. We'll announce a couple of winners here in the next couple of days for our NBA Draft Show. Again, thanks everybody for joining us here. This was Sweep the League.